through Scotland, and then it was all like Manchester area. We didn't get to.
Let's get
Let's
this
do it.
Party started.
Are there? Maybe I'm just watching the Twitch.
Oh, see this.
All right, gentlemen, fire up.
Okay. I think, yeah, we're all good now. Hello and welcome to the Reservist podcast where Navy talks. Thank you all for tuning in. My name is Lieutenant Holbert and I'll be your host for today. I am joined by my good friends and colleagues, Lieutenant Hooch, Rear Admiral Moose, Petty Officer Oakley, and our special guest this week, Traz, from the Star Citizen Facebook page. Woo, he's here. What? Is that the dog? Yeah, that's a dog. That's awesome. This week's news. 2.2.2 is live and includes a free flight week for all the ships. Remember to tell your friends and family members about this event, as it's the perfect time to introduce them to the game, as they get an amazing experience of being able to fly pretty much every ship that is flyable at the moment. Also, dog tags are available to purchase from the RSI website. You can customize the dog tags to have your name on them, and also get the bragging rights for that, and to be a space badass from Squadron 42. Also, I have an awesome new shirt. That is the news this week. I have an awesome new shirt. Anyway, this week's shenanigans. What have we all been up to? What have we been doing with our lives? Hooch, what have you been doing?
Well, working, being disappointed because I thought that Captain America Civil War was out this weekend and it wasn't.
Yeah.
I got a new shirt as well.
That is a pretty cool shirt. It's pretty good. We're rocking good shirts today. I'm liking it, guys. Good job.
Oh yeah. I'm supporting the Star Citizen UK group, which a little support there.
Good man.
Speaking of shirts, well, I got to go down to this is the Ready Player One for the Star Citizen community group,
I like that one.
and
That's a nice shirt.
keep calm, Ready Player One. We took it down to the concierge pop-up event and got a bunch of the other backers signatures, a bunch of the dev signatures, and just basically anybody who would sign it and pitch in, so
That's cool.
good
dude.
stuff.
That's cool, man. Moose, what have you been up to this week?
Working and downloading a remarkable rate. Pretty much when I would leave to go to work, I would start the download. Then I would come home, find it was still downloading, and continue to download through the night as I sleep.
Nice.
Ouch.
Yeah, that must have hurt. That must have really hurt.
Well, when you got three subsequent updates coming in a row, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
PTU testing as well?
Yes.
Are you talking like? Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
Just
One of the 1,000.
see, I'm in quite late in terms of citizen number, so I'm usually in the third or fourth wave of PTU invites, which is annoying because I'm just like going, I want to play, but but yeah. And Oakley, what have you been doing this week?
Oh, nothing much. I've been rather lazy this week actually. Just riding horses and watching the English absolutely dick on the Welsh. That's just made my life
Six Nations.
so much better.
Woo! We won the Six Nations. Just
Well, we're still gonna beat France.
yeah, but we pretty much won it.
In fairness, France always do step up to the competition, but you're probably all American, and if you're not, and you haven't watched rugby, I want nothing to do with any of you. So
I know a guy who knows a guy who watched some rugby once.
then Traz
Wait,
is all
that
the
where there's a
support we
ball?
need. Yeah.
In
Looks
fact,
kinda
if
like
you're
a
American,
football,
you get a
right?
free pass.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Me this week, I have been working my socks off at uni, and I've also got a new job as well, so I'm working my ass off doing that. I haven't played any Star Citizen this week, which has been a pain in the ass because I managed to get my X52 all set up last Sunday, which is nice because I haven't managed to have that set up in quite a while. So because Windows 10 just completely cocked it for me in terms of
everybody I know that has the X52 and Windows 10 seems to have issues. That sucks.
Yeah, it is. It was very annoying, but I managed to get it all fixed, so it actually works now, which is awesome. So I can actually use it again. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing this week. So
Board Gamer is in the channel saying hello.
Board Gamers in the channel. Oh, awesome!
Oh man, I love that guy.
Thank you very much for tuning in.
He's got a lot of positive support for the community. He's a great guy.
He is awesome.
And congratulations if you're listening.
Yeah,
you know, Richard, because on ATV, rock and roll.
Yeah, good on that. Yeah.
Well done, dude. That was really good. That was really good. Anyway, the topic of the week this week is we've got a lot to talk about actually. 2.2.2, which is a mouthful.
Pew, 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 pew.
Oh, I can get my pew pew. Pew, pew. Mine lights up, so mine's more awesome. He has the Xbox controller.
Just kidding.
Oh, nice. I was gonna say Chris Roberts uses the Xbox controller, doesn't he?
He used to do that a lot because I think it was of a traveling thing. I don't know.
It's because it's actually because they're really going to bring this out on Xbox.
Yeah.
I would cry.
I was reading this blog, and this guy was like totally saying that.
Yeah.
It's actually really
The
only
big
coming
reveal.
out on Xbox. You know?
We were just beta testing on the
Yeah,
PC.
we're beta testing it for the Xbox, so
Yeah.
they can clear it all up. And
Hell yeah. So has anyone actually had the opportunity to play 2.2.2 yet? Hooch?
I can log in right now.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
patched.
I downloaded it, but I haven't actually played it yet. I mean, I guess from 2.2.1, which was just improvements to the EVA and the 315 HUD, I believe, wasn't it? I haven't actually read the patch notes for 2.2.2, which is very useful.
It's a lot of 300 fixes. They fixed the door getting reversed. They refixed
that was
some
2.2.1. Is 2.2.2?
Well, it might have saw some more fixes.
Yeah.
More desync issues. More, you know. So, just keep on chugging, man.
All I know is my track IR is still not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing they've got to fix. The track IR.
Whoever shot 88 is, holla.
What does that mean, holla? What does that mean?
I don't know, man. And I was just trying to be cool. I'm not, actually. I'm going to play some D&D later, so not cool.
Talking of D&D, Traz and us had an amazing idea earlier. It's something we might need to work on a little bit more, but we'll talk about that more later. Also, merchandise. As we know, the new dog tags are out now, which is really freaking cool. I haven't actually bought any yet, but I'm probably going to do that soon. Hooch, you've bought some, haven't you?
I got some dog tags.
Yeah.
I purchased them. Yeah.
Has anybody else got any, or are thinking of getting dog tags?
Got a real set.
I am thinking of it.
You're thinking of it.
Got one for me. Got one for the girl.
Nice.
It's good enough.
Awesome.
I actually have. They're in my trunk, but I actually have my real dog tags along with like a dog tag for like a goth industrial club that you get a $5 discount if you have it, that I've had for like 1,000 years, and then I have my Star Citizen tag. So.
Awesome.
That's a great idea. Just chain them all together.
No, it's just all of the dog tags ever.
Just don't ever let your senior NCO see them.
Nice.
Did you see what Boards just put in there?
I haven't. What did he put?
With
Nice.
D&D, I'm planning on starting some Star Citizen D&D sessions.
Good.
With D&D Second Edition and some modding rules. As long as
Yeah.
you don't use the stupid ass THACO rules, I don't care.
Well, that's second edition,
What's
though.
D&D?
I mean,
Yeah.
oh
my God!
Leave
We
right
don't.
now.
We don't have a true nerd in the group. You need to go, Harrison.
hang on.
You need to
You know,
go.
depending on what it is, I might actually know. I just may refer it to a different name.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, no, all right. That's what I was
Okay.
thinking it was. I was like, am I out of the loop? No, okay,
Okay.
I know what that is. Yeah.
Okay.
I never played though.
You can stay for now.
Do I have to prove myself? Have I got like a
Yes,
time limit,
you-
like a cooldown? Like I've got to prove myself in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, he's got that cooldown.
Yeah, hand me your nerd card.
Yeah.
Take me away.
I like it. Mine's got cool colors on it, like blues and greens and pinks.
It's a...
Ponies unite.
If we're curious and we want to roll back a little bit, I've got up to patch notes for 2.2.2.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Oh yeah, read it.
Alpha patch 2.2.2 has been released to live, yada yada yada. Your launcher should now show 2.2.2-330834. Known issues, important issues. Using the holotable and Revel York hangar will cause the game to crash still. EVAing back into a ship with interior physics still has rare issues such as permanent ragdoll and death.
That's
Musing.
the retaliator then.
We are
essentially.
aware.
Sounds like a medication.
Yeah.
may include, erectile dysfunction and death and ragdoll.
Are you feeling down that you could have low testosterone?
Could include
We are aware
anal
that
seepage.
We are aware that users zoning into Crusader instances can sometimes encounter an infinite loading screen and are actively investigating the cause. Okay, ships fixed an issue with the 300 series ships where part of the panel on the port side door was spawning upside down. That's not good, and I agree with that statement. Technical fixed multiple client crashes, made some additional changes to help reduce server lag related issues. This includes decreasing the frequency of the drunk tester bug where other clients would see your character lying on the ground, which was amusing.
Oh, that was
This
hilarious.
also
yeah.
resolve certain client desync issue problems around EVA. There you go.
Yay. Everything that helps fix with the desync is good.
Anything
numbers.
there is
Both,
good, yeah.
Both the EVA bugs are really obnoxious because you're trying to do the Benny's challenge or you're trying to, do anything and you just can't. So then what are you going to do? Just sit in your ship and dogfight all the time? That's fine too.
Yeah.
But then you go to dogfight and then you run into desync issues with hitting and getting hit.
Yeah.
So anything that fixes that, it's not pretty and shiny like new ships, but it is important.
Oh yeah. I think that's something they actually need to focus on. I think a bit more when they're actually patching. It's all very nice having new ships, but I would much rather have a stable game first, where all of the ships that are in the game at the moment actually work.
But the ships help with funding, so
Exactly.
I can't complain. I love the ships.
I haven't got a saber, and I'm kind of regretting it now because
I had a
looks fucking
saber.
amazing.
I had a saber.
And then you got
All
rid of it.
all
Traded my
JPEGs.
saber for the Vanguard
Oh,
Harbinger.
All JPEGs.
All of them. Every
All of the
single one of them.
JPEGs. Collect all the JPEGs. I was flying around. All of my JPEGs are flyable now.
All of
Doesn't
all
that
of
mean
your
they're
JPEGs
GIFs?
belong to us.
Doesn't that mean they're now GIFs? Yeah, they've upgraded to GIFs. So obviously now we have the merchandise. Another thing I wanted to kind of talk about was the subscriber flare recently, which was the Giant plant. There was a little bit of controversy around it because it wasn't as detailed, but I mean, it's a plan.
I don't know. I can speak to that controversy. I finally got the Jean plant and the newer Terra plant in hangar. And don't get me wrong, they are absolutely beautiful. But it's hard. When you've backed for so long and the thing was in the early millions, it was a big deal. We, deliberated. We had polls, and people like had all these ideas, and it was so much energy about like we got to make that million, and we all pushed for it because the game was less secure. I mean, now we're a behemoth. We have this. Now it's like, oh, a Jean plant? I mean, and you could read it in the comments when they released it. You got people complaining. They're like, shouldn't they be working on other things instead of a plant? And I get that. But, that stupid little plant carried us forward, and now we're at the state we're at now. And, I mean, we all, I think the community's thought process on it at the time was it was going to be its own room where you would walk into a room and have a central plant in a small room that was almost not sentient like Little Shop of Horrors, but literally was going to be like, it was like growing and pushing against walls and be like, whatever. It would have been crazy. Instead, we have like this tiny little super cute, like it's the $2 piece of flair. It's like, thanks for that million,
Feed me, Seymour!
Yeah.
I mean, but they had mentioned something about it's going to grow and change, so I mean that's kind of cool.
That would be interesting, actually.
Yeah,
it's going to break out of the glass and then grow into that.
Awesome. Turn into a mini event.
Is this the plant the Xi'an plant that can bloom once in 100 years and it does it randomly, so nobody knows when it's going to happen and it could be just random? Now on the whether CIG should be using resources to that. CIG are not wasting resources. They've got the amount of people they need where they've gotten. That was what's that company called? The
Turbulent.
Yeah, Turbulent. That they have two guys sitting there doing that, according to the ATV.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a big deal. It's
not as if the entire team is stopping their work to make subscriber flare.
You cannot, throwing devs and artists and whatever at one single things. It's not the more the better. You have a point of diminishing returns. You have too many people, your efficiency actually goes down.
Yeah, and they risk that now. I mean, with as large as the team is, you still have huge communication challenges between all the offices. And you hear Germany talking about it a lot because they're kind of one of the later offices to come on board, and so getting everybody spun up and on the same pages. I mean, look at the Xi'an Scout. Oops, we accidentally designed it without a second seat, and that was unintentional. Holy cow, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, the big deal isn't whether that's a single or double seat ship. I mean, people have their opinions about them, but the big deal is that you accidentally designed a ship without something. Like, what?
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion of the unintentional. So I'm not sure whether that was intentional or not, to be honest.
Well, I don't know. The official statements sounded like it was an oversight. So
when you looked at how they were talking about the original development of it, though, it was going to be that the ship. I think I heard that a lot of their issue they're running into is how do you get into it? How do you? What's the technology that allows you to get into the ship? Was it through the back? Were you going to get into an elevator? Were you going to just morph through the glass or whatever? So that probably did play a lot into, well, let's just make it one because that's a lot easier to, unless you're going to have a carousel inside, which would be cool.
that would have been cool. But every time it's an animated component, it's a nightmare for them, and they get the ships out to us, but half the times with the minimum number of animations to get the ship, in the verse. I mean, we're like, I saw a GIF just the other day that had the engines on the Cutlass were like contracting and opening. I'm like, oh, that's new, that's cool, yay! Such small things bring tears to my eyes.
In terms of animations, CIG have just knocked it on the head. Like just the way the Xi'an Scout, you get into the Xi'an Scout, and the stairs levitate. They levitate. And it's so fucking cool.
Yeah. And if you turn up the volume to just the right amount, you actually hear angels singing.
Oh yeah. It's a hymn to Chris Roberts. They're going, Chris Roberts is our savior. Yeah.
No.
And Wigman comes in and does a solo.
Yeah.
They're going. They're not saying Chris Roberts. They're saying the lamp is our savior.
Yeah, the lamp.
They really should have done like Wingman with little wings, like flying in and saying like a little fairy.
That'd be amazing. That'd be so good. So the other thing I kind of wanted to talk about with the whole topic of the subscriber flare and the merchandise is the future of merchandise and the way that Star Citizen and CIG can continue to make money even after they've stopped creating ships. And I was just kind of wondering, what do you guys think they're going to do? You know, what kind of merchandise are they going to create?
I don't think they're going to have a problem, to be honest, because when it goes over to full release, the game's going to be released as a package. You're not buying ships, you buy the game. So there's still, I mean, yeah, there's all of us, the million plus people who backed it, who are going to get it, but then they're going to have all the different chapters of the Squadron 42. Yeah. The chapters, they're going to be individually sold. You're going to have the PU access, which is going to be individually sold, probably in a nice little box or something. You know, then you're going to have all the T-shirts and hats and, you know, shot glasses and stuff, which is probably going to kick off. You're going to have
packs of cards.
Yeah. HOTAS. You're going to have 2 variants of HOTAS, which is going to, you know, it's going to add a little, you know. I think there's going to be plenty to keep them going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, the only problem with merchandise, though, is merchandise is great for building up the brand, building excitement. Like, I'm proud to wear my Star Citizen shirt. People ask me questions. I'm walking around the campus, and somebody's like, that's Star Citizen. I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah, it is. Oh, cool. You end up talking, you know, and things like that. So
that's what
it can be really good for helping.
As well. Yeah. People recognize you because you're... Obviously, you will never actually recognize anyone that's into Star Citizen until they're, like, wearing a T-shirt. They come up to you and go, you like Star Citizen as well? And you both have a nerdgasm, and it's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
But the only downside to merchandise is that it has a cost associated with producing it and shipping it. So the profit margin on it is much lower than digital, you know, print your own spaceships.
Harrison's dad.
So I don't think the merchandising side's going to be the main moneymaker, though. I think they're still selling the game to Squadron 42 chapters, stuff like that.
I hope so. I you know, because I got to admit, like, as much as people talk about hating subscription models, you know, and they want the free to play, you know, you go to these games like Guild Wars 2, right? Very popular, very large player base, and anyway, not speaking to the game's challenge or whether it's fun or not or good or whatever. Like, it, you know, it has its traits, but like, you know, you have that in-game shop where you can buy all of your, you know, in-game look pretty kind of gear, and they're like, and the whole thing is like, it's not pay to win because you're not buying things with a statistical bonus over other players, and that's fine and dandy, but cosmetics are just as important to most players, or some players, as is having a gun that does 10 more damage. Yeah, you know, and so, like, I don't know, like, I really never liked the idea that you could pay for good-looking gear, because I was used to games like EverQuest 1 where, like, oh, did you want that super rare, you know, illusion mask that changes your character into a dorky little halfling? Well, guess you're going to be camping for 3 months in the lower dungeons of Chardok. You know, good luck with that.
I know that.
And, you know, so, you know, but the thing is when you finally got that thing, it meant something. Yeah. You know, so, I mean, I don't know, you know, but I mean, there's no way in the current gamer culture that you're going to go back to a subscription model. I mean, people would riot. So, well, I don't know.
You also got to imagine at some point they're going to have the DLC packs with alien races and stuff that they're going to sell as well.
Expansions, yeah.
I'm actually joking here. I don't think they're going to do that. But...
Well, in terms of...
Well, maybe not like DLC.
Yeah, not a DLC, but I think they're going to generally just introduce new alien races through exploration and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously the art team, they're always going to come up with new ideas for aliens, and Chris Roberts is always going to be like, yeah, that's fucking awesome, let's put it in the game. So you could introduce new races of aliens in expansions, but obviously then you're risking the whole controversy.
I wouldn't like to see that, simply because we saw what happened with Elite Dangerous when they released their planetary packs where you can go down with your buggies and ride around. That was $60 for that.
Yeah.
A lot of people got really annoyed with that, because that meant that if you wanted to get into that segment of the game, you had to cough up another further $60. And I can understand that. You shouldn't lock a segment of a game behind a paywall like that. Now, if you want to sell golden ammo because, us rich people, we just want to be able to kill people with one shot, that's fine. No, just...
Yeah,
So that's pay to win then. Yeah.
It's going to be a hard balance to strike it between. I mean, obviously, it's never going to be pay to win, so you're not going to have the golden ammo issue. But in the same way, it's like you're saying you don't want to lock content behind a paywall, but if you're going to be able to pay for, well, like Guild Wars, you can only get cosmetic items through a paywall at all. Period. and that sucks. So hopefully, like they were saying, you'll be able to buy UEC to help, but it'll be limited so that it doesn't, I guess, get too crazy. There's only so much benefit you can gain from it.
So we got a question here from Lead Angel, I believe it is. I'm not sure if they want me to use their name or which one. Okay. Has RSI speculated as to how they would raise more funds in the future? Now, from what I remember seeing in 10 for the Chairman and stuff, it was more about, selling on, once we're actually into game, alpha, beta's finished, the game will be sold as a normal game. You pay your $40, and then for either Squadron 42 or the PU, and then the $15 extra for whichever pack you didn't get, That's my understanding. I'm not 100%
I think
positive.
I know they have discussed it, but the fact is, anyone who's ever going to play Star Citizen has already backed. So in terms of actually selling the game separately,
I actually don't agree with that. I don't think that everybody who's played it is backed. I think there are a lot of people out there who have heard enough controversy.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
They're just waiting for the game to be finished.
Yeah, that's what
Once it's finished, then they're going to buy it.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like the people that may buy it, as you said, are going to be the people who have listened to the controversy. But a lot of these people have only ever listened to the controversy, and so won't go a million miles within Star Citizen. This is what I'm trying to say, is that the main interest and the main crowd within Star Citizen have already backed and have done for a while. So in terms of then selling the actual full game at an increased price, the people who have only ever listened to the controversy will go, well, why is it now so much more expensive to buy Star Citizen than it was before? So
actually, yep.
Well, and it comes down to how you market that. You always have to market it. It's not so much that it's more expensive; it's that this is the regular price and they got a discount. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I actually forgot about what Dice just typed in there. You're also going to have people that are going to be purchasing limited amounts of UEC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If that's $20 for 20,000 UEC, and you might only be able to do that once a week or whatever. Mm-hmm. If 5,000 people do that, that's $20 times 5,000.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll end up working out just like a subscription. But it's a voluntary subscription, which is great because it empowers the player to make the choice. So, right. I mean, just like I spend $20 a month on the Imperator subscription, and I get almost no benefit from that because, Robin and I are completionists, and we're not getting a scythe to fly. We both earned and purchased our own glaives. We don't need that.
Yeah. We've got a segment in the forums.
Right. It's that I used to visit and I no longer visit anymore, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, there's just microscopic benefits there, but I still support. So, I mean, when the game goes live, and I'm earning my flair in game, I'll migrate that money into supporting it that way if that's what's necessary.
We also get the magazine 3 minutes before everybody until somebody puts it up and shares it. So,
to be honest, the jump point, I don't even care if it's shared or not. It's going to get shared. I actually respect why they let it happen that way, but I just love that it's developed. Like, I got to meet David Ladyman for the first time in person last week, and I just, I can't even. I'm like, don't you give up. Don't you ever stop. I love the jump point. But I want my hardcover. Give it to me.
Yeah. Even if it's a yearly annual,
Oh god, could you
If
imagine?
it's just a yearly companion that they release, and
if
I would be happy with that.
That thick.
Yeah.
That'd be so good. Yeah.
The volume 1, volume
Mhm.
2.
I mean, that's why I subscribe. I subscribe because I want to see ATV. I want to see Reverse to Verse. I want to see all the little programs that they put out. And the only way they can do that is if people are subscribing.
Subscribers. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a separate fund. You don't have to do it, but I want to do it because they, you know, during the week, I come home and I'll sit down and watch ATV. You know, I'll watch Reverse to Verse. I miss Reverse to Verse. I gotta watch it later, but you know.
Yeah, I haven't actually subscribed myself. I'm not actually a subscriber, but I have been tempted to in the past because I mean I've put in around 800 to 900 quid into this game. Okay, so I've already put in a fair amount of money, but
more than anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
should
exactly.
ever be expected to. I mean, you only do what you can. You know, I mean, if all you can do is an Aurora, that's good enough. You still supported the game early.
Exactly.
That's just as qualifying as any one of us who put in too much money.
Exactly.
You know? So.
Yeah.
And I
mean, I don't put it in just for me. I mean, other people get enjoyment out of seeing ATV as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can afford to put in that $20 a week. I'm not worried, but as long as everybody's getting something out of it, hey.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, I really, really enjoy Around the Verse and this kind of stuff because it's something that you never ever see with any other game. It is a massive look into how they're creating this, and it's so nice because you feel involved in everything, that every decision they're making, they will tell you first, pretty much. I mean, within the whole spectrum of stuff, you're the first person being told about it, essentially. So I mean, it's great. You know, I can't wait. And in terms of hardback stuff, you know, the lore pedia they're making at the moment. Oh, Traz has disconnected.
His connection was being a bit.
Yeah, that's right. We'll wait.
One thing, you know, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Anyway, yeah, you know, I was talking about the lore.
Call got dropped. Yep.
Yeah. I think Moose has also dropped. I think. Damn it, Moose.
Sergeant.
You're back. Hello.
Sergeant Jokic. 15,000 UEC wouldn't be able to buy a glass of water once the game is out. That may be true. I mean...
One thing I wanted to say is, you know, we're going to get this buyable UEC. As I think Board Gamers said before, the economy needs to be done so perfectly, and it needs to be created so perfectly, because otherwise everything is going to spiral out of control, especially with the jobs that people are going to be playing, you know.
I think that's part of the reason they went with the 90-10 population.
Yeah.
Is so that it'll prevent one of the biggest problems with MMOs, which is inflation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything goes, you know. So I you know, I hope they keep it under control. I think they'll keep it under control.
Yeah.
People, I think I've been looking on the forums recently, and just because I've been bored, and essentially I've seen a lot of people that aren't actually understanding and being considerate of the fact that though yes, this is a game, but it's a business. Fundamentally, it's still a business. It still needs to make money.
This isn't just a game.
And it's like people are expecting things to come out of this, and not have a paid for function. I mean, there's got to be. I mean, a lot of people are absolutely fine with it, but you see these people making a huge fuss about it, and there's no real reason for it. There's no real need, other than the fact that they want stuff for free. Doesn't really work that way in life. I hate to break it to a load of people, but nothing's free. Let's be honest.
Yeah. But I think
there's an interesting Reddit thread that was talking about the various pay-to-play, free-to-play models, and they were doing some comparisons and debating it. I read through a bit of it, but I didn't get through the entirety of it. But it basically it does kind of come down to that, though.
Yeah.
It's I mean, we have to fund it to get it done. I mean, I would love the game if it started off and we all started with an Aurora MR and that was it. Or you know what I mean? We all went through Squadron 42 and you came out and you had that and that was it. I like that. I like everybody on the level playing field at start.
Could you imagine that the day before it goes live, they turn around and say, "We're wiping everything," and it'd be like Alderaan exploding. You'd be sitting there going, "I felt the screams of a million nerds."
Right. But,
it would actually be a million as well, wouldn't it?
Just about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really
a million. So it's suddenly as if a million nerds had all started to scream, and they were quickly silenced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would love that. I had the hugest problem early on with backing because I didn't want to, the buy to win and have everything. But, eventually I understand, like, well, this is an ambitious project. We need to get it made. And what sold me on being okay with the funding being such a big part of it was that at launch, those of us who've funded beyond that very base starting level is such a small percentage that even if we tried to have a negative or a positive impact on the game, it's going to be really hard to. Yeah. And then on the flip side of that, I'm a single player. All of my assets cannot benefit me. The most benefit I can get is the difference between an Aurora and a Super Hornet or Saber. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the bottom of the single-seater to the top of the single-seater. Yep. Once you move beyond that, it's a group experience. So all I'm doing by investing more money is I'm helping this guy over here and this guy over here. I'm helping enable them to be able to play the game. Yeah. And I want to play a group game. So to me, it's worth it.
You don't want to play. You don't want to play the single player and hire a whole bunch of NPCs to man your ship so that you still don't have to interact with anybody.
Well, you can't have a D&D match on your constellation with a bunch of NPCs. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, exactly.
I just don't understand that mindset, but
yeah, I mean, hashtag Rory Morrison.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh my God, we're gonna do that. We're gonna get Board Gamer in here. And we're all gonna log into a server. Yeah. We're gonna get a constellation. Yeah. We'll put that bad puppy on decoupled cruise.
Sit in the middle of the cargo bay.
We're just gonna fly through the verse playing D&D. Oh, hell yeah!
And just have a recording of us in game while we're all in the background.
That's gonna be so good.
I'm so keen. Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be so good. We need to do that. That needs to be a thing. Trademark.
That's on the fucking books, people.
Yeah, I'm writing this shit. We need someone to be a game master though. This is the thing.
Would Akani be big enough? Maybe we should have like an 890 jump for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have to wait.
Archangel Michael now. Archangel Michael 2015's in. He's in as well.
Yeah.
It'll turn into just like every other D&D game I play. There's always more volunteers to play than there are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like
a strict limit.
Probably end up with an Idris or something full of people in the flight.
A javelin. No, a Bengal character with one game master.
It's like observation room or whatever it has. That meeting room.
Turn
the holographic table off and put a fucking mat on it.
The most successful player trade station is the one that has lots of snacks and allows people to come in and play D&D in game.
Yep. Oh god, yeah.
As long as you have a big Benny's there, we're good.
Oh, the Big Benny's needs to have a use, and it pulls up an interface for ordering pizza from Domino's via online.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
I'm starting the delivery business called Big Benny's, and I'm just going to deliver food to you.
And you take a 20% cut.
World over.
You take a 20%
in partnership
cut.
with Amazon.
Oh yeah, that's it. Traz is now a millionaire.
We're going to use little Cutlass drones that bring your package to your doorstep.
Oh my god, bro! Oh my god!
It's on like Donkey Kong.
They said it could never be done, but it was done.
They said I could be anything, so I became a god.
Could have that delivered to our life-size replica, constellation.
Oh yeah.
Where you can come and stay for several nights in your.
Someone needs to make
Hey,
a Constellation
that-
Hotel. That needs to
That's
be a
already
thing.
an idea.
That needs to happen. That actually needs to happen.
Oh, is
Like,
it?
who has a million
Wanted to do
pounds?
the VFG hangar as a room for like people to sit around and do the.
Mm-hmm.
Every Big Benny's restaurant will be a Constellation, right?
Yeah.
I'm down.
That's amazing. I'd go to there every
Yes, I
day.
would.
I'd be
Get some
broke.
excellent noodles.
Yeah, I'd be broke within the end of the month. I'd be gone. So one of the new things in Around the Verse was the Lawmaker's Guide to the Galaxy. This is a new section. That was pretty cool. What do we all think about that?
Yeah, I liked it.
I'm usually always. I like the fact that we have rotating segments and we bring in new things and we change things up.
Yeah.
It breathes life into it. I am guilty, unfortunately, of not having watched through this week's just because I was really busy. So I mean, I've read the notes and I'm actually need to go back and watch it just because it is exciting to see new content come up. But
Yeah.
stupid life.
Now,
Yeah.
I
Damn
did.
it,
I
life.
just watched, and it
I
was.
also think.
You gonna go ahead? Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of think that the way that they're doing it now, especially with the map and stuff like that, it'll pay off later. The people who've watched it will be around that system and remember a detail. Hey, who is that Maria? Whatever. There was something about that written into the history or something, and there may be something attached to that later. Sorry, Moose. Go ahead. You were about to say something.
Just from watching the episode, it's very interesting because you know what I mean. The first time one of the shows comes out, you know how they're kind of unsure about really what they're doing, but they're trying to do it. So, but as they figure it out and develop it more, I'm sure they probably will turn into a really good sequence. Since it's really giving you that in-depth, deep dive kind of into each of the systems, what's there, what each planet is about, and then the backstory behind each planet there, which was kind of neat to actually hear some of that stuff about the Explorer and how it happened and whatnot. So I won't do too many spoilers, but I was actually thinking that would be something cool for if we even did that here on the channel at one point in time.
That would be pretty cool.
Do a little system deep dive, but then we're limited as to how much information we actually have on it. Going
back to when you said, when they do these new segments, I mean, can you remember with the first episode of Around the Verse? That was so awkward, wasn't it? That was so awkward, but now there's this amazing, rapport between Ben and Sandy. It's great.
Go back and watch that first show that we did.
Oh,
and
God,
look at
yeah.
the difference between that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
it
still
is good to
new.
see the segments come along.
Yeah.
I don't know, and finding good chemistry is always a challenge. It just doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's things that are outside
We just
your
go off
control.
of hate. We just go off of hate and saltiness.
Oh, so much salt. So much salt.
Brewery is the key to all of our chemistry.
The key of our saltiness isn't quite here today, but you know.
He is the salt mine of the UEENR.
Sodium chlorine.
If there could be a whole continent filled with salt, it would be him.
Yeah.
He would own all of it.
Be called Great Saltonia.
Salt tastes so amazing.
Yeah.
There's a chemical that'll kill you, and a chemical that'll kill you, and it turns into some deliciousness. When you combine it, it's amazing.
Especially on chips.
And will also kill you.
and can still also kill you.
Yeah.
Something tells me that his Idris hold will be full of salt. It'll probably be the most valuable mineral in the verse. It'll be
he
salt.
will fuel his Idris on
Which
salt.
one?
Yeah. Lasers. Okay, I think we'll move on to the next part now, which is the guest part of the show, where we ask our guest, who I don't know who that is. We ask our guest a couple of questions, if that's okay with you, Mr. Traz.
Okay. Would you like to nominate question askers?
Yeah, of course.
No. Shoot, fire and shoot.
Okay, so let's have Moose ask the first question.
That would require me to pull it up. Let's see.
Okay,
are you
prepared.
ready?
Wait, phrasing?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was almost a phrasing joke. That would be
When does the new series of Archer start?
Soon.
I was watching Archer last night. I love that show so much. So good. So good.
Okay, question 1. When did you first discover Star Citizen?
I was stationed in Japan. A buddy of mine, another computer enthusiast right across the hall from me, who would help me build my rig while I was there, because I'd had like a 10-year gap since the last time I built something. So since he was more current with like overclocking tech, basically he consulted and we put this system together. And anyway, so it was great. And it had this hot rod system, and I was playing games, having a good old time. And he comes over and he's like, "Hey man, have you you got to check out the Star Citizen game." I'm like, "Oh, cool. What is it?" You know, because I mean, I like Star games. Like, you know, I played Descent 1, 2, and 3, really classic. I used to play with an actual Warthog way back when. Descent Free Space 1 and 2, those were a real big deal for me. Homeworld 1 and 2, all, Star Control 2, lots of stuff. But my main genre that I've loved has always been more like fantasy, like MMOs, like EverQuest, and Guild Wars 2 for a while, and so on and so forth. And he was like, "Oh, it's going to be like a flight sim, et cetera, and it's made by Chris Robertson." I'm like, "Who's that?"
Traz. It's the cardinal sin right there.
So then he's like, "Oh, he's the guy who made the Wing Commander series," and I'm like, "Wing Commander, that's fucking awesome." Pardon my language. When I was a kid, or grown up, I used my father's computer, so I didn't have access, quite the same access. And at the time, Wing Commander was pretty cutting edge, and I just didn't have the ability to play it, and so it had kind of gone by the wayside in my mind. So even though I've heard Freelancer and such are still very relevant and can still be a really good experience, I just missed out on all of those, and I made it up playing other space games. So he said that, I was like, I'm in, because I'm really down for that. But here was the rub, though. I was looking at the Kickstarter page, and I'm like, $110.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that wouldn't have been so bad. But right before I went overseas, I had legendary backed Terra, this Korean MMO, and I was really excited about. I mean, its art style was a little bit much, but whatever, pretty characters, super pretty characters, whatever. And their selling point was this action MMO combat system that moved away from the whole click a button and have it do it for you. So I was already trying to migrate away from the whole grind levels so that your character can auto kill things. I was trying to move more to a skill-based system. Well, that game disappointed me. So moving on from that game, I MechWarrior Online also kind of captured my interest in the same way that I was looking for. MechWarrior was another one of those top-tier hardware sim experiences that, as a kid, I just hadn't been able to buy into. That was an adult's game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so here I'm like, awesome, I've got a top-tier computer. I can, so I backed it at the legendary level. I met the devs in their chats where they were talking with the community and was a part of them building that out. And, and then the game released, and it was still, going through some changes and whatever. And they just kind of, I don't know, it didn't feel right. They kind of betrayed the community by taking it from first person and taking it into the whole, third person view. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of done there. There was a couple other examples, but the long and short of it was I was a little burned. So when I saw the price tag, I was like, I'm going to wait. So I sat on it. I made an account, and I sat on the decision for about a month or two, whatever. And I actually migrated my account to their new website and everything. Still hadn't decided. Well, I finally came back a while after. The Kickstarter had already ended, so now that's why I'm a veteran backer, not original. But so I come back, and I'm looking at, I couldn't decide between the Freelancer or the Hornet, because I'm like, on the one hand, I'm a great PvPer and I'm a great dogfighter, but on the other hand, I know that my preferred way to play is more group dynamics and the more immersed in the world. So I couldn't pick. So then I'm like, well, what the hell is the next choice up? Because this is already stupid expensive. So and of course the next thing up is $275.
Yeah.
I looked at that and I'm like, what? So I'm looking at the Rear Admiral package, and it's like the Constellation RSI. And it's like, well, this is the flagship of the game. This is the, you know, it's got turrets. It's 3 to 5 players. It's going to have strong, you know, a strong ability to be a space superiority, you know, kind of, you know, badass. It's got cargo. It's the ultimate multi-role ship. And then in 2 words, I was heisted, and that was, it is the Millennium Falcon equivalent. I'm like, you mother. I was like, oh, that's low. Yeah, that is low, Mr. Roberts. That is so low. Cha-ching.
Yeah, that was dollar signs right in the eyes there. Yeah.
And so sure enough, you know, I started with the Constellation, and then eventually I was like, well, I can't fly it. I gotta have something to fly solo. So then I picked up the Hornet, and then I'm like, but you know, what if I don't have anybody to do trade runs with me? So then I got a freelancer. Well, you know, that 300 series looks kind of nice.
Oh, you know, and that ship there, yeah.
Those commercials, man, I tell you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And you know, and I almost lost faith. I kind of started to be like, wow, I kind of regret that. I had a little bit of buyer's remorse. Yeah. And then they released the hangar module, and when I saw the fidelity, I was like, okay, this is what you're going for. If you can just keep this, not even improve it a little bit, and you can just deliver the basic game, my money was well spent.
It was at that point when the hangar module was first released. That was the first time I ever saw the game, and as soon as I saw the hangar module, and that's all it was back then, I was sold. That was it. I was into the game then.
Arena Commander had happened that same way the first iterations of Arena Commander came out. Yeah. And I was like, I'd almost kind of started to question it again, and then I was like, nope, this is good. Yeah. Then their Arena Commander balancing, it got really bad. I was like, oh, I don't know. If they go like this, I'm not going to like it. And then they did this one patch that kind of changed the whole direction. I'm like, it flies like a spaceship again. Yeah. And so, you know, consistently they've come through. So, I mean, I have a lot of faith because I have a lot of evidence. But, you know, most people come into the game brand new and they're like, this doesn't, you know, fit. And it's like, well, you know, I've got 3.5, going on 4 years of watching them grow the game and make intelligent design decisions and always try, maybe not always successful, but they always try to do right by the community as a whole. And hence why they have so much of my support.
Yeah.
I talk a lot, sorry.
Oh no, that's fine, dude. That's cool. It's
one of the things you touched on there, and I just wanted to mention was I think a lot of people are also not jumping on because they've had bad experience with Kickstarters and pre-funding and stuff like that in the past. They may have put money in for something and then it fell apart. I mean, a big example would probably be what's that mod for Arma 3? The zombie one. Daisy.
Oh, Daisy.
Oh, Daisy,
yeah. A lot of people were upset about that. They felt really
betrayed.
Let down. Yeah, betrayed from that. So they see somebody come along, even with history, and they're kind of, you know.
Well,
I think it's going to take until it's late beta for a lot of people to jump on.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of people have been burned. I mean, I mean, even Steam offers all these great deals, and the people who just, wow, that sounds really good, the little movie clip and the reviews look good, you buy the game, and then you're like, wow, that's completely disappointing. So, like, I find that if I'm going to buy a Steam game, I always go and do research other than on Steam. And, you know, and eventually I've made smarter decisions, and so, you know, but you know, and it's the same thing. Like we kind of had the perfect storm. Chris Roberts has the experience, he had the credibility, and he's shown that he's been able to build this team, because it takes so much more than the ability to just be a dev or a programmer to make something succeed. You really have to have project management, and all these other different steps, money management, you know, talent handling, talent acquisition, you know, and be able
just plain leadership.
Yes. Yeah, it's an immense project. So, you know, I've been a gamer for decades. This is, you know, I didn't expect to see this kind of gaming epoch in my lifetime. I had given up. I had thought, you know, all I'm gonna ever see is like, you know, a good indie game will come out now and then, and I'll get my fun out of it, and I'll be done with it. But honestly, like, I mean, you look back at like EverQuest 1 and Ultima Online, the original, like the first gen MMO games, like they were ambitious. Star Wars Galaxies, they tried to do things that hadn't been done, and eventually they got snipped by either being bought out and then retooled to try to turn into a giant profit model, or they got snipped because, you know, the publishers didn't want to take that kind of risk. And so when he came together and started building this, I you know, the amount of money that I've invested is commensurate with, you know, two things: what was my expendable income and availability, and the second thing is how valuable being a part of this was to me. You know, EverQuest 1, when I played it, I had a terrible computer, and I still had an amazing time. I regret having let go of like the connections and friendships that had been a part of that, because back then, you know, it wasn't acceptable to make friends with people online. It was considered this huge thing. I mean, I fought with one of my girlfriends about it, like, those aren't real friends. And I'm like, I spend like 16 hours a day playing with these dudes and girls. Like, why aren't they friends? What? But, you know, nonetheless, there was a lot of enculturation and societal pressure on us as gamers that we had to fight against. And, you know, and I'm not going to make that mistake again. So this time I was like, I'm going to go all in. I think the all-in decision was when I got the first Idris.
The first.
The
groundbreaker. Cards on the table, and you're like, you know what? Fuck it.
And how did that make you feel when you figured out that the Constellation wasn't the biggest ship in the game? You know what I mean?
Oh, it is something else though to see the Connie for a long time was like, oh, this is gonna be the ship, and now you're like, oh, well, there's bigger.
Yeah.
I blew it up the other day.
The biggest ship I have, and I love this ship to all death. I mean, when they first put it on sale, I was like, I have to have this ship, and that was the Retaliator. That ship, oh my god. I love that ship so much.
Until turrets get a major overhaul and some love, it is the bastard child of the current Crusader test grounds, but it is still a very pretty ship. I mean, I don't think it'll ever be a Constellation in what it does, but it will definitely, with the different modules and the way it's set up, will definitely provide some very interesting other alternative gameplay styles, you know. Mix and match.
Now, saying that about
so
turrets,
pretty.
Saying that about turrets, Curtis and I took out his. This is right when 2.2.1 came out. The turrets have improved a lot.
Oh,
we actually went out
targeting mode.
Like
the alt-tab or whatever it is?
You can actually target stuff. Yeah, I could actually target because I was in the turret. And we lasted quite a while in that, didn't we?
Yeah.
We didn't
with
have
just one gunner as well.
Yeah.
So can you imagine
we
that
wanted
thing?
To get like 5 people in there to man all the turrets. That would have been pretty badass.
No, I'm not dogging on it like that. Like I flew my tally with. We had 4 gunners, so with 5 of us, and it gets a 6-man ship, 7 if you count engineering. But we had 4 in the guns, and then me piloting, and the gameplay and communication while we were all on TeamSpeak was amazing because it was all about my gunners were relaying to me like angles of attack on incoming, and I was rolling and shifting my ship around to try to give the most turrets a line of fire on that target. I fly 100% decoupled, which is kind of a less common flight style as well. And I also fly with cruise mode turned on at all times, which basically it's like taking the training wheels off. I mean, I know that that flight style gets some bad rap because you do have the people that try to abuse it and just joust, maybe because they don't have quite as good control over their ship. But I fly pedals. I fly a really, really I'm very serious about my flying, so like I can be in decoupled cruise and I can still knife fight with you right here and then rapidly drop out and then shift angles, and it creates a much more tactical optioned environment. But we'll see whether that flight style stays viable because people cry about it, and then you have like super cruise speed nerfs, which I'm okay with the super cruise speeds getting reduced, but I don't want to get off topic. Whatever.
That's
anyway,
fine.
the bottom line is if you flying and communicating as a pilot was a full-time experience, even though, or lining up a missile run, it was enough that it was just as fun as being a pilot in a single-seater.
Yep.
And the communication was just so important. So and that's all I was saying. It was a blast. It was awesome. So
just jump in here for the next question. We got a question on Twitch.
Sure.
Archangel Michael asked, so Traz, how do you see our role as UEENR? How will it work in a game where 100,000 players are going to be calling on us at all hours of the day?
Well, oddly enough, I think the challenge will be how you locate yourself logistically in the universe. I mean, we don't know what the scale is going to be just yet, but I kind of suspect that no matter how many ships you have at your disposal, you're not going to be able to cover all of known space so well that anybody anywhere can call on you. Like, for instance, I intend to run Ion Industries as a mercenary group, at least on the public facing side, where I assist the Star Citizen community, whoever's in good standing within, that I talk to or have whatever, whether you're a pirate or a bad guy or a good guy or whatever, you can call for support, and I have all my assets designed up. So, I have a lot of assets. I still don't have enough assets to cover. I imagine I'll probably have to tactically position, various battle groups within a various space where they might be able to jump over and help each other and assist. But at the end of the day, it's going to be able to. You're just going to have to carve out a section of the universe that you plan on working within, and then support that area. Yeah. I imagine the UEENR is going to have this. Is this going to have a similar kind of thing? You're going to end up finding what organizations are you allied with, and then you're going to be like, we're going to work on protecting their flank, or we're going to work on supporting their this forward push, or whatever they're trying to do. So whether you're going player versus environment game, or if the PvE meta political game requires that everybody basically always stay focused on that, it's hard to say, man. But logistics are going to be what limit or enable you all the way.
Right, that's number one.
Just on that point, just wondering, because you say you're going to set up as a bit of a mercenary, what is going to be your policy on clientele? Are you going to go for the highest bidder? Like, are you gonna change sides if you're jumping towards a zone because a lot of people have paid you, and then someone says, "Oh, we'll pay you double. Fucking help us."
Well, I think a couple of things. I think gaming culture, like this is something you see in EVE. You can't really be a mercenary because you have big guy here, A and B. They're going at it. They hire your little mercenary org to assist you, to assist B. Now A, if they have a choice to crush B or crush you, they're always going to be able to crush you and punish you for having assisted. It doesn't matter that you were neutral and all you were doing was taking a paycheck. So I have to look for a way to protect my players, the people that sign up. So the Ion Industries that I'm running is actually a kind of a meta org. It doesn't exist in RSI. You can't track us down. Basically, you have to come in and whatever, and the players that run these combat missions are using assets that are dedicated to piracy or dedicated to UEE or dedicated to non-alignment, and we use dummy characters that are assigned just specifically to those assets. So basically, we can do a job and then just log those ships, those characters out, and then roll off to somewhere else with different characters, different assets. That way, I can protect my members so that they can actually play neutral. They can be neutral and do jobs for different people without having their personal play experience wrecked. Yeah. The second part of that is you're asking about how would I deal with, is it just to the highest bidder? No, I believe that being a good mercenary or a good mediator is you have to stay true to your word. So above all, like, my word means everything. So to that end, obviously pay is going to play a factor in it as to whose job you take. But at the same time, it's all about, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Because if, say, you have a small mom and pop operation with 10 players and you're getting picked on by a larger org, you may not be able to pay me enough to do one thing, but if I come in and I help you out dealing with this bully group or whatever, then now you're in my pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the favor.
It just means that now if I come over and I got to help these guys over here, because I would never ask somebody to do anything that's a conflict of interest against their own org or their own alliances, I can say, hey, how about you have your 10-man team, log into alternative alt characters that have no alignment affiliations with this. You come over and help fly this mission with me while I'm doing this other job. It gives me a way to crew all these ships and basically see missions get done. And to me, the most important thing is pay my people well and make sure they have a good time.
Look after them, yeah.
Exactly, why would you betray somebody if you're having a good time and you're getting paid well?
Exactly. It's all about that loyalty, isn't it? I mean, if you're looking after your men and your women, they're always going to be there for you, aren't they? So
right,
yeah.
And it's not to say that there aren't some security considerations, but I have a background in that in the professional world, so right, there are definitely security concerns that I've outlined. Oddly enough, my entire business model is completely published, because there are certain things that are security risks that you like. There's some information that you keep secure, but there's some things that it's unnecessary to keep secure because people will find out anyway. And I would rather be forward with how I run my model, so that they can understand the I guess the levity behind it, like how serious I am and everything else. So my goal is to support the communities rather than and who knows, based on the game mechanics and how they handles and versus character names and what privacy is like, it's possible that this whole meta org that I run may not be able to work. It depends on how Chris Roberts does his final thing. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. I'm making friends. I'm meeting people. I'm trying to do something that's going to help everybody. So at the very end, I just want to be in a good position to field my assets and to play with the people that I want to play with. Whether it's I'm going to go do a solo mission or be a fighter pilot on, anonymously on my own Idris, where somebody who works for me is piloting and they don't even realize that the character I'm running is me, which is just fine. Or whether I'm, running around in a constellation, or if I'm, standing commander on deck. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, next question. What was the first? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I think you pretty much already answered this, but what was the first ship you bought?
Constellation.
Yeah. And that was
still a physical package in my inventory and is now a Phoenix.
Nice. That's pretty good. Oh yes.
We should be able to roll that question 3.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically rolling on to the next question is, what ships do you currently own? Now I'm preparing myself because this is going to be a list, isn't it? This is going to be a list.
No, it's actually a short list, because the way I answer that question is I let you know what I don't own. I don't own an MR.
Okay.
I don't own a what's the other one? Not the CL.
LX?
I think I kept the CL for now, but it's on the list. It's on the chopping block.
Right. Okay.
Basically, I only kept like an LX and an LM.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 300s, I only kept a 315, 325, and the 350. I got rid of the 300i, the basic model.
Mm-hmm.
I think of the Reliance and Avenger variants, I didn't carry over the cargo versions because I have other cargo ships on the larger scale. Don't have a hull D. I give the D.
Oh God. Okay.
I just want to let you know that Bootio Hunter just gave me angry finger hand, knife handed.
No.
She's like, don't you dare!
Yeah. God. You're getting a slap later,
and it's hard to say, because that's the thing too, is the organization that I'm running isn't just about doing the mercenary stuff. That's just my way to put all the ships we have to use, because I can't fly them all. I mean, why? It was like, even the first Idris I bought was because I was like, I'm going to move home to the States eventually, and I want my friends to be able to play with me. That would be an amazing experience to do the whole crew thing. To, it'll be our command base, our headquarters, whatever. And so I invested in that because I decided that it was worth having that experience. It was worth throwing the end of the year party where sure it cost me a bunch of money, but all my friends had an amazing time. Worth it. So extrapolate that out more years of investment time, and she talked me into it. So now we have all these other assets, right? And the whole point of that is they get to put to use. So and that's why we're doing it. Is so we'll have our private group of friends that are very core, that we know personally and we can trust, and we'll do the merchanting, we'll do the mining, we'll do the science, we'll do the exploration, we'll do all of the non, I guess, politically aligned kinds of actions. Yep. Of course, those fleets will have their modular security escorts and all of that, just like normal, that we'll do with these characters over here. But anytime the community needs help, and they can call up
Ghostbusters. Yeah.
The same magic.
We're I'm kind of, it's like I'm Space Batman,
Spaceman. That's amazing.
No. Ion Industries.
Are you going to be the really cheesy Adam West Batman though, or are you going to be the Ben Affleck Batman? Because this is the real question to ask here.
Wait, what is it?
I'm Batman.
Are you going to be the really cheesy Adam West Batman, or are you going to be the Ben Affleck Batman?
I don't think I've seen the Ben Affleck Batman yet.
That's the versus Superman one.
Because it's not out yet, right?
Yeah.
It's I don't know. No, I don't know. I mean, I have my serious moments and everything else, but I mean, it depends. Like, I've done raid leadership with, like back in EQ before you had voice commands, leading server first kills against gods in Planes of Power with the 115, 140 people. So I enjoy that gameplay, but some of my most favorite times playing have always been small group tactics, small group dynamics.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm, as much as I love the big ships, those aren't for me. I didn't buy those for me. What the hell am I going to do with those?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are they going to earn me real money? No. Yeah. So, I mean, my favorite, right? My favorite experience will be flying probably my favorite single-seater ship, off a carrier deck.
Yeah.
And that was the Gladius, but it's kind of a glass now, so probably the Saber.
Yeah.
The 350R combat loaded for a while. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Gladius is still super, super sleek and really nice looking.
It's so pretty.
It's a beautiful ship. It's a beautiful ship.
That reminds me of the ship itself. When I look at that thing, I'm like, oh my god.
Which is kind of good, because I kind of stopped flying it because it became everyone's favorite for a long time.
Oh,
and,
hipster Ion.
Space. I know.
Hipster Ion.
I was just gonna make that joke.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard, I got that ship and I was so excited about it. Then you see everybody's flying it, like, fly a stupid ship. And so I ended up flying the 350R until they did the big changes to the way maneuvering thrusters and all that. Once they changed that, then like my whole 6 directions of decoupled doom kind of took back seat. So then I ended up moving over to other ships. So, but anyway.
Can I ask an off-topic
That's why I won't
question?
touch my Saber right now.
Curtis, is it alright if I ask an off-topic question?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead, man. I'm going to crack open another beer. So.
What do you think, or when do you think they're going to introduce a navigation radar system into the... Because that's the big thing I've been waiting for with the Tracker Hornet. There's not...
I know. When they talked about the electronic warfare design document, you remember that? Are you intimately familiar with it?
Yes.
All right. Well, the good news about that is coming from the background that I've come from, I can, for the large part, approve the majority of that as far as being realistic and good direction. But the things that they didn't mention that I think are important is, okay, if you're hiding from somebody and you peek around a corner to look at somebody 100 yards away from you, you can see them clearly, but they would have a hard time seeing you peeking around that corner, correct?
Right.
Okay. But right now, if you edge out around an asteroid that you're next to, if you can see them, they can see you. So there is no hiding, really. You know, I mean, you might have a lower IR signature or a lower EM signature, you know, based on ambient everything and whatnot, but there's no way to use. And how does that come down to actual game mechanics? What that comes down to game mechanics wise is you have to have radar systems, active and passive sensor systems that have quality levels where you have an early warning sensor system that can detect at extreme range potential objects, but it cannot resolve whether that's a small fighter or a big fighter or whatever. Or if, say, for instance, you have 5 fighters flying in a really tight formation, which in the real world is why 5 fighters would fly in a tight formation, because on an early warning radar, they would show up as a single blip. They would show up as a single entity, meaning that as you get close and you're able to resolve that that's actually 6 fighters, you know, your whole tactics would change. You need to be able to have a small ship next to a big ship and basically blend in to that signature. So they're gonna have to flesh out those mechanics. So, you know, the stuff that they have right now is going in that direction. Like the fact that you can be behind an asteroid and go off the radar, that's good. That's good. The fact that you actually have, you know, emissions based on how hot your ship is or how much electromagnetic energy you're putting off, that's good. But it also needs to be something where you have passive. So you have sensors that can detect heat and maybe electronic emissions that are passive. But if you want to get a cross-section read, you have to turn on your active sensors. But guess what turning on active sensors does? It's like lighting a fire beacon that says, I'm right here. You will have perfect 100% clear resolution for whatever quality or whatever range that sensor is, but everything around you is going to hear the radio get turned on to full blast. That's, you know, think of it as like submarine, you know, kind of
stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, some of those things when you get into like the military side of things can be, you know, taken as classified in nature, but a lot of that stuff is also just real world, you know, open source documentation on the way, you know, radio wave signals propagate and how does that work, you know? So I mean, you know, and as long as they do some basic level consulting or even look at real world examples, it's understood. Yeah. You know, so I think they're going in the right direction. I haven't heard them mention anything about that, but I think they get a little bit leery about giving anything to the community
before it's ready.
Because then we go ape shit, you know.
Well, that's
we actually do.
The other thing that I kind of look into is like, well, I can't give a direction. You know what I mean? If we're in a group and we're flying straight, I can't say come 10 degrees to the left because there is no degree.
Yes.
So there's no galactic plane.
That's
really
I mean, it needs to be there. They need to have, you know, a galactic plane line, and you need to have the ability to call out headings and directions. I mean, I know that right now, like if you want to go to a beacon, you can just aim shortly in its general direction, and then when you fire up your quantum drive, the ship takes over and it auto corrects you to exactly. That's fine. That's cool and all. But right, like if you want to fly with, you know, a javelin with an Idris belly to belly behind it covering its blind spots, and then, you know, and then have all your soft targets hidden between the 2 Idrises flying belly to belly as well, and having, you know, turret coverage areas taken into account, you know, and then say you want that entire formation to change directions, you need to have an ability you need to either be able to read off, say, hey, we're changing to this heading, this degree, declination, the azimuth and declination, and have all ships rotate to that new thing and then, you know, change course. or you need to be able to have it to where the command ship can set out a signal to its friendly identified ships that allow them to slave their heading to the control ship. Yeah. It doesn't mean take over an autopilot. I mean, you could do it that way, but I don't want to see that. I want it to, the pilot has to interact, but it could still let you slave to that heading, and then when you're all on the same heading, you still have to adjust your speed and everything else. That's where, like, when you're flying as a fighter right next to a big ship, like you're patrolling. Basically, you line up the same heading, the same speed, decouple, and then pivot your ship like a turret so that you're facing whatever direction attack might come from. And then when an attack does happen, you fire up your engines and you shoot off, or you do whatever you need to do.
Yeah. I think decoupled patrols are going to be really interesting, actually, because especially if you're having, for example, a bomber escort. So you've got your bomber and then you've got your fighters. You're going to want, as you said, to have your fighters on a particular course and then to decouple, because then you've got that entire 360 degrees, both up and, sideways, to cover. So that's going to be really cool to see, actually.
One hell of a big spinny turret.
Yeah, yeah.
I think one of the challenges is that CIG has already talked about it being an XYZ coordinate system, but you have experts in the field who have talked about it. It needs to be a radial, I guess, navigation style, and so I don't know. I don't know that what's most realistic or even easiest or best will be what we get, because it might be limitations based on just how they build the instances. I don't know.
Right.
But I think you're not alone in worrying about that, especially as we get closer and closer to the Idris coming into the game. Because, there's so many subsystems and game mechanics that we haven't even seen. So the idea that the Idris is getting closer to flyable, well, that's kind of scary, because they're like, well, the Idris represents a whole culmination
of all these mechanics,
of all these mechanics. So
you're not supposed to be able to fly the Idris, are you? Without the crew to do these sub things, you gotta have people doing these things. But if you don't have the things in the ship or in the game when you have the ship, everything goes to shit real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or it's just boring. Like, who wants to be no one gets on your Retaliator right now to be the engineer, because half of the engineering systems aren't online. No. The gameplay of those different roles has to be engaging. It has to be just as challenging, or maybe not as challenging, but it's got to be challenging on par with being a single seat fighter pilot.
It has to be intriguing as well. You want to be intrigued to be an engineer, because at the moment, as you said, there's nothing you can really do. If I were to go into my Retaliator and open up the engineering screen, I can't actually affect the weapons, the shields, or anything at the moment, because that's what the pilot will always have the overall decision on that. So as an engineer, I should really have torpedo systems opening and closing torpedo bay doors and all this kind of stuff, but there's just none of that in at the moment. So as you were saying, with the whole Idris in capital ship thing coming at the moment, no one knows how to do this stuff. So yeah,
I guess they're focusing on getting the ships out the door is good for funding, because they're candy. Getting the flight model squared away and, generic weapon balance, that's also good too. It's pretty important, the combat stuff. So I can imagine that we will see, blocks of time period where those elements of the game become the main focus and the main things we see, and we just haven't gotten to that yet. So it is good, at least, that their design documents have reflected the majority of that. But but we're still missing lots of design intent, and But even though we don't really want CIG to get bigger, I think the number of people that they have employed is already enough to make managing it hard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are just some things that there are just not enough people to get all of those things concurrently being developed. So at least not and do a good job and make it all work together and be sort of balanced together.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But it is funny though, like because even once they get the flight systems and all those weapons and all that balanced, well, then they're going to have to go back and start doing all the subsystems, all the different roles, the engineering, the shielding, and all that, which means they'll end up having to change some of the earlier stuff too.
Yeah, and then that
So
will need balance as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very long-winded system. Okay, next question. Moose, would you like to ask it? No, wait, sorry. Moose has already asked 2 questions. Damn it, Moose. Hooch, would you like to ask a question?
What would you like to see in Star Citizen next?
You know, as much as like the ships are eye candy and things like that, I'm excited to see some of the other gameplay systems. I guess. Oh man, yeah, just. I mean, stability. I think is probably the most important thing, but that's not what I'm most excited to see. Oh man, I guess the Idris, honestly, because I mean that's the closest kind of thing that's on the horizon. But I share the exact same concerns and worries like we were talking about. It's like there's so many roles. Like I don't know. I want to be able to get on the damn constellation and
How
have
can you?
be an engineer.
How do you
So,
be
cargo.
a flight traffic controller in Star Citizen? Because there's nothing for that yet. But in the Idris, you need to be a flight traffic controller. How do you do that?
But-
So
Do you like that indecision? I gave like 5 answers. I can't even answer the question.
no, that's,
What's your
that's
favorite?
good. Yeah.
If you had to pick one ship,
All of
Head
them.
explodes.
Yeah. Okay, Oakley. Next question.
Right. I suppose. What roles are you gonna like try and play? What roles are you gonna try and focus on? Rather, you because obviously in Star Citizen you can chop and change, but which ones are you gonna be your main focus?
Yeah. Back to the indecision. You noticed that I bought like one ship of every single hull type originally, and then now I have everything. Oh man. I probably exploration science sounds really cool. I'm a good dog fighter, so I enjoy the combat. I'll probably
That's
be
3 so far.
I know. Okay, oh my god. Fine. Okay, so God, and then there's all the meta roles like data analysis and
Go for it, man. Go. I'm teasing. Say
Okay.
anything you want.
Okay, all right. I can answer the question. My favorite experience playing any game is usually in small groups and small group dynamics. So probably whatever roles that would be found on a ship like a constellation. So probably being a commander on an Aquila or a Phoenix outfitted with exploration gear if that's possible and cost effective, because that's questionable. But
Gotta have that jacuzzi, man. You can't not have that jacuzzi.
Yeah, let's stay. We can't get rid of the jacuzzi.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's kind of like glamping.
If they would yeah, totally glamping. If they would just make the jacuzzi not have individual chairs, like that's not comfortable. Come on.
Yeah, it's all about that sprawling. You gotta sprawl out in a jacuzzi.
Well, and I need a hot sauna in there. It needs like a spa. It needs like steam room, jacuzzi, a cold pool.
You got like a
all of that
quarter of
stuff.
your ship, and,
And some Korean,
and everyone's like, "Shit!
and
Jacuzzi's been hit. The bar is gone."
then behind the bar there needs to be like really good margaritas and and some Korean food like some bulgogi.
What about the fish tank?
Coladas?
Getting lost in the stars.
Yeah, can you imagine that you're exploring a planet and all of a sudden somebody comes up to the bridge and says, "Look, we have to go back. What's wrong? We're out of vermouth."
We can't explore without this.
You bought the
we're out of
the
vodka.
cheap triple sec.
Amazing.
The Grand Marnier is low. What?
Okay, Moose, next question.
We're on which one now? We're on 5?
Yeah, number 6.
6.
Yeah, 6.
Should we ask that one? I think that Is it been
It's
asked?
kind of covered now.
I guess.
It's
All right,
four
going
now.
to.
Yeah,
For
why
some
are we
reason, we
coming
back to
jumped from 6
Okay.
to 8 in the questions. Okay.
So,
Wow, okay.
what ship would you race in the Murray Cup and why?
Well, 350R.
Idris.
Well, yeah, I of the 300 series, I never liked them but yet the 350 I was absolutely in love with. It's just the double engines; they do it for me. They're sexy. The Omega's pretty. The M50 is also very pretty, but I like that 350R. So
Any of the Hull series.
The friggin' Javelin.
The Hull E mini carrier, pocket carrier.
Oh, pocket
Oh
carriers.
no, pocket carrier. Oh yeah.
Everything needs to be a pocket carrier.
Everything needs to be a pocket carrier.
Launch all the M50s.
Yeah.
No, it needs to, the Hull D needs to be like a Russian nesting doll.
Yeah.
I
Matryoshka
honestly
dolls,
do think, though, that Hull Series Murray Cup racing would be a lot more popular than M50.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
Especially-
Hull section.
Especially if it's really like the asteroid fields on yellow.
On that Murray Cup deal, I haven't heard much about the M50, but in the 2.20 or 2.21 or whatever, that new big bloody update that they did.
2.2.2.
That's the one.
Yeah.
The M50 is actually a lot faster, and by a lot I mean like it's 75 faster. Its max normal speed is 350,
Oh,
and its
so it's
boost
faster
speed
than the.
is 495. It is fucking ridiculous.
That's quite
I've got
fast.
one. Thank you, Pooch. And it is the shit. Like, it is almost
Nice.
going around the normal Murray Cup, which is the least maneuverable one you need to be. The old
Right,
Vanguard
the figure
thing.
eight.
Yeah, it is. I found almost unflyable because it is
Really?
it is so quick. It is
You're
ridiculously quick.
flying
Well,
with keyboard and mouse right now, though, as well,
That's
aren't
the
you?
problem. That's the bit I'm
Dirty Mouser.
I
He's
know.
not with us, I promise.
He's a little special.
You need to get one of these, Harrison. You need to get one of them.
I really want one, but I may have to wait.
Sensors all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem is like it's thrusters now. I feel like the balancing has gone a bit overboard because its engines aren't that powerful, but because it's literally. It's like the second lightest ship in the game. It's the lightest racer in the game.
They need to balance. Well, here's the thing. Like, okay, so here's my frustration. Like the Scythe, it's lighter than the Glaive. So why is the Scythe slower? What? So I was saying, and interesting enough though, the arguments about which is faster, the 350R and the M50, that argument has been around for ages because people are like that's bullshit that the M50 is supposed to be the the answer to the the slower 300 series racers, yet it's slower, and I can see credit with that. I would hope that the way they would kind of balance it is that the 350R would be more like a drag racer, like maybe more straight line speed because the big old rear engines, and maybe more fuel, so longer, better over straight distances or races that involve like cross system coverage and things like that. Whereas your M50 is just going to be super nimble and super capable and like smaller quarter racing. I don't know. I don't really care too much about what their current speeds are because I know that their speeds are all going to change once they actually implement better all the subsystems and all the weights.
Final. They're all final. The
It's
stats.
now.
I demand weapon balance now. Never mind that you're releasing physicalized weapon damage in the near future.
Yeah.
Who
Exactly.
complains about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I don't know if you looked at the forum.
The concern threads. Yeah.
There's gonna be fucking someone in there.
Oh god.
My arena commander stats aren't beautiful. No one's gonna join my org if I don't, hem and haw about balance right now.
Yeah. Exactly, man. Exactly.
I should make fun.
But
We-
you
we
should.
all-
You
You
should.
You're in the right
we all-
place.
we all have our hot button issues.
Exactly.
You know, I mean,
There's always people wrong on the internet. Let's be fair.
and I must fix them.
I must tell them they're wrong.
Next question.
Your ship has just been disabled and your comms array are down. What do you do?
Disabled. That means
Crack open a
I-
brewski. Yeah.
And wait for this whole thing to blow over.
Let's
I'll
see.
away, boys.
Well, if they're preparing to board, then I would probably, if they've disabled the ship, then I would try to. Yeah, well, I guess you can't use maneuvering thrusters. I would want to get out of the ship and then take cover in the shadows of my ship and wait for them to try to.
Oh, so you're an ambusher then? You're an ambusher.
Oh, in that
Oh,
situation,
you-
hell yeah!
You go down with the
Albert.
ship, do
Oh.
you? Good man.
Oh no, I
So-
stand and fight like
I'm a
man.
fighter.
So
Oh,
no
I'm a
self-destruct.
fighter.
Yeah.
I'm a fighter, but I fight to win, not to be fighting.
Good man. Good
Fair
man.
enough. Take that.
You can fight with honor, or you can win.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end, one you're still alive, the other you're dead.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
dead,
right. I mean, I love a good squared-off fight where you're against somebody who has around equal skill, and you're both flying in comparable ships. That's fantastic. But no joke about it. When you're in the persistent universe, you have to you fight to win. So you're going to use more numbers against them if you have the opportunity. Look at American military. We don't engage opponents on even terms if we don't have to. Why would you willingly risk
yeah.
loss of life?
That's just
you're going to
any
engage.
military ever, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
you're-
don't fight fair. Yeah.
Right, you're going to go in at night with night vision, and when they don't have it, you're gonna use higher power weapons from a longer range. You're gonna use up armored vehicle. You're gonna do whatever it takes to give yourself that decisive advantage. I mean, yeah. So
Exactly,
I mean,
man.
you're gonna use intelligence to make sure that you know where your target is and when they're sleeping, and then you're gonna hit them when they're sleeping.
Nerf
that's-
intelligence. Intelligence too OP. Next question.
I'm not gonna kill someone whilst they're sleeping.
Next question, Hooch. What's the next
Well, then
one?
apprehend them. Whatever.
Tap them on the shoulder politely, and you say, "Excuse me, sir, I would like a duel."
But just as long as you don't double tap them, because that would be against conventions and such.
It has
It's
to
just
be
not
at a
on.
10-foot
So you just,
distance
instead of double
with a
tapping,
pistol.
you just hold down the trigger on your automatic rifle. Hashtag loopholes.
Okay.
Is knifing considered double tap?
Hashtag ethics.
Yeah.
So, okay, next one's kind of an in-game question, a political question. In-game,
Ooh.
Earth or Terra?
Ooh. Terra.
Tara? Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. It's very interesting,
Traitor.
actually.
What was that?
Yeah.
I wasn't listening. What was it?
Earth
I
or
like
Terra?
I like progressive. You gotta always be evolving.
You gotta have a bit of both, but
Exactly.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually a pretty hard question. True, it is.
Mm-hmm.
it's actually one that Board Gamer brought up last time when he was on.
Mm-hmm.
He was asking us, though, Earth or Terra.
Well, I
It's kind of a
imagine
relevant question politically.
Right.
So we're gonna
always
kind
go
of side
wherever-
towards Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we're individuals. We've probably been to Terra. Hey, who doesn't like a party?
It's not our
you know?
fault you're wrong. That's-
God, you're offending the guests.
I'm sorry.
Harrison. Jesus.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I will open my
Oh.
palms. I mean no disrespect.
Our Archangel
I was
Michael's
just-
come
I was-
out with Terra. I don't know. I think he might have just gotten demoted in the.
Yeah, he's demoted already. I'm gonna get on to Steve and make sure he's demoted.
Yeah, well the thing
Yeah.
is, I'm already fucking ensign on the on the Twitch, aren't I? So
Yeah, that's it. You're gone, mate.
Yeah, hey.
You're freaking gone.
You're a petty officer. How are you?
Where's your red shirt?
Yeah, it's a red shirt.
That's Oakley. Oakley is our red shirt.
Mm-hmm. He's the single red shirt we all have.
Petty Officer Oakley, go and check out that cake.
I need a name.
With a
Nobody
green glowing
dies if they have a last name.
Shit, again, there's a few guys in there.
Well-
There's a few of them, and by a few, there's a lot of them. That's all right. We'll turn around. Are you gonna come and collect my body and send it to my family, or not? Nah.
Too expensive.
Space jettison, you know.
Yeah.
Space debris.
Next question, Oakley.
Oh shit.
God. One job, Oakley. One job.
I wasn't thinking about a question. I wasn't, thinking about a follow-up thing.
The key thing you're taking away from that is not thinking.
It's not a specialty. I like the more, following the conversation
Robust.
rather than starting it.
Yeah. Okay, man.
Freelancer backends. And you cannot tell an untruth.
Question 11. Can you see it?
What?
Some
Question
thing.
where?
There's 6
Wait,
questions.
We're trying to train our red coat here in common sense.
Question 11.
Why? There's only 6
11.
questions.
Refresh your page.
Refresh
your
the
page.
Refresh your page.
Refreshing it.
This is
You
difficult.
just can't get the staff these days, can you?
We've now
So
we now know our training is not good enough. We need to
Right,
step up the
okay.
power.
Alright, we're gonna have to jump here.
Mhm.
I've got it. Right, all right, you ready?
Okay.
You ready?
He's got it.
Yes.
There we go.
You ready?
Yes.
I'm struggling.
Reading.
Any day now.
Law-abiding citizens or lawbreakers? Are you a lawbreaker or are you a law-abiding citizen?
Well, oddly enough, okay. So I've always been a fan of having a variety of characters, and obviously doing the meta project that I'm building, I'll have to have multiple identities that are different characters, and they will play to whatever they are. So if I have a law-abiding character, he's going to play to that character. If I have a criminal character, there'll be a criminal. Traz Ion, my primary identity, is going to be exactly kind of what I am, in the sense that, like, it's going to be that owner of the company, the fleet, and that chief operations officer who our company may come under
Yeah.
oh,
So-
you've helped. I'm like, we don't know what you're talking about. Like, it's kind of like the Wayne Corporation, back to the Batman thing.
Mhm.
It's like, you got that on the side kind of thing. So I mean, obviously he's going to be law abiding faction wise, because it's going to be necessary to be able to function in UE space.
Obtain face,
But
yeah.
I'll have agents, and I'll attain. I'll have a spread of either characters or players that can contact me to see that business gets done. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I now, game wise, historically, I've always enjoyed a lot of anti-hero kinds of characters. Oddly enough, I've always found that whenever you have games where it's good guy, bad guy, the players that are on the bad guy side either tend to be older or more mature. I know that's qualitative data. It's not. Yeah, it's qualitative.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just observations. But like when I played like in EverQuest, we played on a team PvP server. So you had all the dark elves and ogres and trolls, and then you had all the the elves were one team and the humans were another team, and the short race was another team. It's like all the good guys ganged up and broke the server rules to gang up on the bad guys, and they justified it because we wouldn't fight each other. It's like, yeah, but the rules of the server were that you are fighting each other. So one, you're douchebags for breaking the rule set, but whatever, that's fine. Okay, I can kind of buy that because it's sort of lore. Okay, whatever. But even so, you saw way more trolls, way more like griefing coming out of the players that had the easier experience because they weren't as challenged, because they had each other backing each other up, than you saw over on the bad guy side, where the fight was always hard. So being the underdog, there was a little more honor, I guess. It was a really interesting dichotomy of expectations. World of Warcraft had that a little bit, like a lot. I mean, you had mature gamers on both sides of the fence, Alliance or Horde, but qualitatively, it definitely felt like any character I played on the Horde was surrounded by a large. So I tend to like anti-hero characters. So I'm looking forward to having a pirate or two or three on the side to play for fun. But Traz Ion, the role that this character is even beyond me. It's my way of interfacing with the community and allowing me to take all the assets I have and put them to use. So that character will very much so will be UEE aligned, just because that's probably where you get your clearances and you escalate in your ability to own multi-system corporations and all that good stuff. You have to have citizenship. Yeah. So anyway, because it's a proper company.
Just a second. Archangel Michael's just come out with a comment here. I see Traz as more of a Zach Galifianakis kind of Batman.
What a king!
I feel like
kind of
Let
Batman.
Angel, you are a champion.
I feel like it's gonna be Hot Tub Traz Ion. That's gonna be his.
You want to negotiate that contract? Get in the hot tub.
Hey, that's fine. I'm for that. Do you think the UEE will pay for Vandal kills?
Interesting. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of bounty. There's got to be the player versus environment, element to that. I'm sure there's, you're going to make money from collecting, the tags off of, slaughtering, defending Vandal or whatever. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it'll be something like you have to already have the mission assigned, and if you just run into Vandal in open space and you get nothing, it's just, hey, lucky you survived. I don't know. I mean, I can't know that. I'm going to play theory.
I actually think they've kind of dropped hints that they're going to already.
Yeah.
If you go into Cubby Blast, what's sitting on the counter?
Vandal head. Yeah.
Trophy.
Head.
Oh, I'm gonna have so many Vandal heads mounted on my Retaliator.
All along everything, it just covers the whole ship.
I'm gonna duct tape one to the front of my torpedo.
Merry Christmas, bitch.
Was space tape ever a thing? Were they gonna make like
a duct tape will always survive throughout any hardship for
it has to, because without duct tape,
Well, I mean,
I hope on one
light
side
side,
they
dark
just make it
side,
cool
binds
so that
universe
it's
together.
invincible. It's like really cheap, but if you put a single piece of tape along the outside of your hull, that piece of strip of tape is invincible and defends your entire ship.
Like, can't be destroyed.
I hope they do that just for a 10-minute update, and then you can play that for 3 days, and just cover your ship in duct tape, and everything's invincible.
Just duct tape your engines, then you'll be okay. Yeah. Okay, Moose. Next question.
Okay, so you have to pick one. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't. You have to absolutely pick one, and it is
slippery.
Captain Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Sulu, Chekhov, Yura, or Scotty, and you have to choose one that represents
Spock.
Spock.
Well, actually, that is a tough challenge because, like Kirk, I've got that Gryffindor. Get in there, courage, do it, don't always think it through. But as far as what I idealize and wish I were more like, Spock for the rationality and the cold, clean logic. I wish. I mean, I try to be one, but I'm probably more the other. So.
Nice. Nice. Okay, do you have any questions for us? Is the last question.
Ooh.
We're putting you on spot now. Ooh.
Danger.
Mm-hmm.
High voltage. How do you feel? You like it?
Well, that's an interesting query you have for me today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, UEENR has been something I've been excited about for a long time. I've been tracking your organization for a couple of years, long before actually met Andrew, or got to like meet in person and everything else, because I've always wanted to have a character that would fit into that role. So, I mean, I guess my question is how are you guys growing, like, as an organization ages and grows, and as more people come into it, its culture changes. How are you guys doing as far as like role play and lore? How, military role play, is it going to stay? Is it mil sim? Have you guys found that you've kept kind of a loose balance where it's a little bit of both, so that you can incorporate both kinds of players, or or are you guys aiming for strictly, what do you have a vision and this is what you're going for, or is it going to be more friendly towards the general range of player types?
Well, I mean, as the recruitment officer, I can say that we're kind of looking for anyone who's genuinely looking for an org for a good time, and obviously an org that we are looking for certain types of people, I guess. But
sure,
those sort of people can have any type of, personality they want, really. So, I mean, Oh, sorry, go ahead, Moose. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was going to say, which is where the squadron breakdown comes in. So currently the way we have it is, as each individual comes in, we try to find out who are they, what do they want to achieve, and then how does that assimilate with the Navy. And then from that, we diverge to, all right, you would fit best probably with this squadron because this is what they're about. So if you are more of a logistical kind of a player that comes in, then we would go, okay, so you want to do logistics, what kind of stuff? And then they tell us, okay, I want to do supply runs, I'm the fuel guy. So they go, all right, well, let's put you with, in an instance, would be like the fuel squadron, kind of a thing. So you go into the fuelers, be with those guys, and be able to kind of couple with them as to like mission assignments, that kind of stuff. Then as we get into the verse, the idea is that, well, we have a squadron over here who's doing a patrol route or something. Fueler guys, we need you to go there, and they can kind of work it out amongst themselves as to who and how and what. So it does that way. It kind of also helps set up groups that can have that like-mindedness when it comes to
have a
how
good
you
time
play.
Together.
Yeah, and it's going to couple with the idea of it being that the UEENR being your continuation of your career after you get out of Squadron 42. That's what you kind of want to shoot for, is that
military veteran. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, I think that's a very mature take on it. I mean, I've been a part of orgs already that, like, back in a couple of years back, that like had these ambitions and dreams, and they floated all kinds of fluff about what they're going to do, and even then I was like, what are you talking, that's not going to work. But and you watch them divide and fall apart, and drama and all that stuff, and I think that you nailed it on the head. You have to let people be themselves. Not every player is going to play 40 hours a week. Not every player is going to be good at this or good at that. You can't expect people to log into a game as a second job. That doesn't mean that we're not going to treat it professionally or seriously, or we're not going to be super committed. I mean, players will be as much as they can be, and they can afford to, but everybody has a different backstory. It's a strength that if you can build your org model where it fits the lore, the story of it, and appeals to players, but also allows for people to just be themselves. I think that's super critical. I know I've tried to incorporate that very much into my design philosophy, because it's a volunteer force. Everybody who logs into play every single day, they do so because they want to be there. If you start expecting people to be there because, a title or this or that, it's just never going to work. And that applies from the lowest member who just joined all the way up to your senior officers. If they feel like they're taken for granted, it won't work. So and kind of like how I talked about, my favorite thing is to play with a group of friends, whatever. Those are my best experiences. That's usually just like that. You find the like-minded players and you play with them. It doesn't matter that you don't get along with Joe Bob over there, because he flies in a different squadron with people that he gets along with, and that you might not, And the thing is, as an organization, when you have an organization goal that you all come together to do together, like the equivalent of a raid, people, it's just like real world military. Like, you put you put aside your personal likes and dislikes of people, and you cover their angle. You don't let them get shot in the back just because you don't get along in the mess hall. And in the end, that builds a kind of camaraderie that's really strong.
Yep.
So I mean, it's like, I like what you're saying. I mean, that's good. It makes me happy, because I mean, I've always said I'd have a character in with you guys at some point.
Dude, definitely. Yeah.
Because I want to have everything from. Actually, I'm not going to tell you, because I'm going to ask. That's my second question. So.
Oh.
What's going to be your favorite, like, off the wall character concept that you want to play?
Oh,
that's not a part of UEENR. Like when.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I can already answer this question. Where I'm going with this is, I'm going. Have you ever seen a movie called 1941?
Yes.
Oh no!
Have you ever seen 1941?
I'm
John Belushi.
No, I haven't. But yeah,
Steven
John
Spielberg film. All right.
No, I guess I.
If you ever want to have a look up Wild Bill Kelso on YouTube from 1941. There's a couple of little clips there.
Okay.
You'll understand exactly where I'm going after that.
Brilliant. Wild Bill
Kelso. Kelso.
Got it. Okay.
If you watch one.
Okay. I will watch it post show.
All right, dude. Moose, do you want to answer that question as well? I mean, I've got an answer, but have you?
There's no character.
Yeah.
Like not counting like your org thing, but like when you have a solo character that you just be like, I'm gonna do something crazy.
I'm usually pretty prim and proper, like, as for like, so usually I try to akin to whatever it is I'm trying to do, I guess. I don't really go fly off the wall, I guess. It's
Well, no, I don't mean like crazy. I just mean like your secondary. Like if your first character is the UEENR guy, who's your secondary character?
Okay, my secondary character is probably going to be some information runner, probably.
Nice. Okay, like a data broker. Hey,
Yeah.
we can talk later. Because I will never put you at. That's one of my things.
He's
too.
recruiting. That's what he's doing now.
Well, no.
He's recruiting.
Well, I would never put anyone in a conflict of interest of their primary loyalty. That's something that I feel is ethical way to approach it. But yeah, anyway, I'm always buying information. Just saying.
Yeah.
Information drives operations.
And you, Oakley, what's your off the wall character?
Well, there's a bit of a story to that, because the reason I asked the question earlier about the reason I asked the question
I can't hear you without your red shirt on.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
That's right. He'll die soon anyway. So
perhaps if you took off that silly hat, you might be able to hear me. That pre-10-minute change-up hat might have been a good idea.
That's a cool hat. You can't knock that.
It is a cool hat.
That's a cool hat.
It is a cool hat. I do like that. No, I did have an ulterior motive to asking questions about your mercenary guild, organization, or whatever you want to call it. Because I was looking to be a solo mercenary kind of dude, just
cabin boy,
cheap, but yeah, exactly, cheap, but always follows his word. Like that was why I was impressed personally with the way you wanted to go about it. I mean, I probably would have avoided business with you as a mercenary on that side if you'd said high spitter. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
if you have an extra cabin boy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, and it does come down to that. Basically, people can be as involved or not involved as they want. My goal is if I know the player and I know that your main organization is this, then whenever I ask you to do a job, it's in my interest to make sure that there's never a conflict of interest for you, because I like to maintain positive relationships with the organizations that let their members come and do work with me. And equally so, any organization that had hired me that I was having you come on board for to do mercenary work, obviously I can't, they need to be politically unaffiliated and uninvolved in any of your main stuff, because I don't want to run into information spillage. You know what I mean? Because people can go home and tell stories or whatever. So, I mean, there's definitely, I have some security needs that I have to take care of. But for the most part, the player you would use a secondary character that was unaffiliated with any of your main, so that way you never walk away with bad reputation hits that would affect your main character, your main experience, and things like that. Assuming that, the Star Citizen game dynamic allows for that. We'll see. I mean, basically, I'm just leveraging meta gameplay to defend the role of being a mercenary, because I feel like players who try to be neutral in the game get screwed. Because
that's
then
the
big factions just piss on you because you helped them, so I'm gonna just kill you, and it's like, screw that.
All of a sudden, there's a bounty on your head for 50% of the players in the verse, and you're like, man, really?
You're like, really? Yeah. So no. But,
as for myself, God, my off-the-wall character, I really want to be like a space trucker. I think that'd be freaking awesome. I'd love to just put on some background music, like some AC/DC or something like that, and just cruise through the verse in like a freelancer or something like that. Just picking up the goods and delivering it. That would be freaking awesome, I think. Good old
Tell you what,
truckers.
Exploration also would be something that is something now that comes to mind. That, you know what I mean? Like the idea of you actually get to go find a world or something like that, and maybe actually traverse down to it, jump into a rover, and run around on the surface. That's pretty dang awesome.
That doubles up with the information broker, because I mean, what is exploration but gaining more information? So kind of. But okay. So here's what mine was. My favorite secondary concept is I want to be a space hobo. I'm gonna.
I already said it. I already got that one.
I know. I'm. Oh, is that what he is? Awesome. Well, check this out. Here's the plan. I'm gonna start with nothing, no ship, no nothing, and it's gonna be like wherever I can get a ride. But what I want to do is I want to map out the star map galaxy, a circuit, and the thing is like you basically start here, and it's how long can you stay alive? How many circuits can you make naturally by like earning your way across the universe?
Yeah,
and just
so cool.
And I want it to turn into a thing where it's almost like a pilgrimage, that players will go on the pilgrimage, and it's like a course that you have to try to hit, and it's it's on your own honor. Like you could, I mean, I guess you could lie about it, but it's not a competition. You're not winning anything. It's like, visit all these places along the route, and and
you
so
should totally keep like an in-fiction diary as well. That would be freaking amazing.
Yeah, the Ion Files.
The Ion File.
Well, no,
amazing.
I would never associate that character to the Ion identity.
Oh, okay.
Because
right.
But you know what I mean. It'll be another character. So,
but
you don't associate with hobos.
You know how much lore that would build you, like how much background.
Well, you say that, but like, I mean, I ran a guild in EverQuest 2 when Sony basically destroyed EverQuest 1 by merging the PvP servers. I moved over to EQ2, and I ran a role play progression guild there. And I would have officers in my guild, like, in the course of me playing an alternate character, they didn't know it was my main. They didn't know there was an association, and that I would get invited into the guild, and I would actually maintain multiple separate identities and personalities and things like that. I mean, I never used it to any nefarious purpose, but I like my characters to be treated as they represent themselves, not. I don't want you to treat my poor hobo character with the respect,
of Ion Traz.
Ion Traz may have, because Ion Traz has spent multiple years building up this community identity and a pillar of whatever, and he owns these fleets, and he's a business professional, and he is chief operations officer of a corporation. It's a whole different kind of thing. I would want this other character to be just treat it as you know him. I mean, people would be like, "Oh, you might try to sabotage our ship. We don't trust you," and kick him to the curb. And he sits on ArcCorp, big and money. Do you have any change, sir? So it's just But so I really hope that CIG gives us a lot of privacy power when it comes to handle and character splash over. I mean, it should be nice that you can let people see when you log in on your handle across all your characters if you want, but just like anything else, you should be able to uncheck and be like, this character isn't invisible.
Affiliated,
separate friends list, separate whatever, or anyways.
Okay, anyway. Awesome. That was really good. That was awesome. Okay, now it's time to move on to the ship of the week, and now, of course, we come onto that part of the show which relies on the ship stats page, and as always, take everything I say with a pinch of salt, as everything is subject to change, and we only use these stats as a placeholder for discussion. Now, of course, the ship of the week this week is the Endeavour, and on the actual page it says Musashi Industries. Is that spelled right? I'm sure that is. Musashi Industries and Starflight Concern is proud to present the Endeavour class research vessel, a fully modular space platform designed to be adapted for a variety of scientific and medical tasks. Initially developed as a floating laboratory, the MISC Endeavour can be outfitted from everything from spatial telescopy to a use as a mobile hospital. So, the MISC Endeavour, which is such a beautiful ship. I mean, when I first saw the concept art for those biodomes on the side, I fell in love instantly. Yeah. So, I mean, this ship, and I mean the stats on this thing aren't anything to particularly go, that's pretty bad for either. So let's take a look at some of the stats. The primary engines. Oh, blimey, has everyone disconnected?
Uh-oh.
I've just gone, yeah.
Oh, goodness. Well, as long as we've still got sound, I think we're kind of okay. Yeah? Okay. So the primary engines, we've got TBD, so to be disclosed, I guess.
Yes.
So we don't have any particular massive stats, but we can guess that these are some pretty freaking big engines, to tell you the truth. So yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about the Endeavour? Really, what do you think?
Pocket carrier. Well, that's what everybody screamed when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Except for, didn't they say they put a restricted size landing bay on it? So that kind of hampers its abilities for a pocket carrier.
I mean, it does.
That was the joke going around at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The part that worries me about the idea of the landing base is just they've talked about it being a mobile respawn point, and I don't know. I guess I can understand that, but at the same time, I still am really, really on board with the idea of this not being Call of Duty in space, and the idea of being able to have a forward point that you can just, go back to your holo table on the Endeavour and just keep selecting your next ship, and because that really plays to, I mean, it actually plays to my advantage. I own a ton of ships, so I could just go back. I could lose a ship, respawn, pop a new ship, go back, roll back into combat, and just take advantage of the the external funds that I put into the game. And I just don't want any part of that. That doesn't belong in this universe. Yeah. So it might personally benefit me, but I don't think that kind of game mechanic should stay. I would rather see it more important that you exit combat when your ship is damaged and try to make a run to get back to an Endeavour to get repairs, or to get healed up, and then have a crucible standing by and see more logistical support. Mm-hmm. Than because then it makes combat just as dangerous as FPS should be, with Death of a Spaceman being such a such a thing. Basically, it should have the same kind of value assigned to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what about the modules? I mean, as it says on there, it can be pretty much outfitted for most things. I'm sure they're also going to make other modules from it. But I mean, the mobile space hospital, that's going to be a big money maker, isn't it? If you think about it, if you use that properly, it has a lot of potential because there's no actual definitive hospital ship yet. So the Endeavour is going to be
is the definitive hospital ship.
Is the definitive hospital ship. So I mean, this thing's going to be great when it comes out because I mean, organisations who are focusing on search and rescue, you know, the Endeavour is going to be a big thing for them. And obviously, just any particular logistics division is going to want an Endeavour anyway, because I mean, Jesus, this is how crazy it is.
Good.
No, sorry, please, no. I was pretty much done, so go ahead.
My only flaw that I can really find in the Endeavour, because it's one of my favorite ships. It covers science and exploration. Both of those are very near and dear to my heart. My only complaint with it is that after I took every single module and I laid it out and I looked at the roles that the ship might fill and I tried to do crossover roles, like what if I mix these modules up and things like that, I found that to take away any module from any of the like predefined, like the Hope or the you know, this one or that one or whatever, basically broke the build. In other words, you had to have the modules. You used up every single module slot to make one build. There was no reason to ever do a hybrid because any hybrid you made was completely ineffective. But then those were like role modules. When I say role modules, I mean like, you know, the hospital bays or the landing bays or the grow pods or the whatever. But then you have the modules like extra fuel, extra crew, maybe even extra turrets or something like that. Those kinds of modules are not role dependent. I really wish that at the design level they had taken that consideration and made it so that you had like, you know, 4 or 6, whatever the hard points were. It's been a while since I've looked at it. And they had made primary hard points and secondary hard points. So that way, if you look at the Hope is the landing bays and the surgical bays, the healing bays, right?
Yeah.
You can't really have a hospital ship without either one of those things, which means you're going to have those things on a hospital ship. Well, now you've used up every single module, and now every other player who has a Hope class or that role, a hospital ship, is going to have the exact same ship you do. There's no such thing as your hospital ship has extra fuel because you're supporting a long distance exploration outfit, but my hospital ship has extra crew because we need extra surgeons on board because we're supporting an active conflict, but we're not doing a lot of mobile movement. Or, you know, Ted's spaceship or Endeavour down the way has extra, you know, turrets because, you know, they're rolling in, he's actually rolling with a combat outfit, you know, and so by not separating that out, we run into this issue that basically, even though the space frame says it's super modular, there's nothing modular about it at all, because in order to do every single role that ship can possibly do, there's really only one build possible. So I understand kind of why, because what that is what that does is it makes it easy for the developers to make modulars that go onto that ship. So they only had to make one space frame and they were able to make 4 different ships, 4 different role ships. But for the player side of it, it's not modular for us. And if we made the mistake of buying the ship because we're like, it's modular, it's not really. It's like buying a 300i and then buying the different loadouts for the 300i to make it, you know, the fighter or the explorer or the racer. Yeah. In my opinion. So
Now, where they do have a saving grace with that, though, is that the front end is detachable, so they could always make a different trailer hookup, essentially, that could accommodate those different ones better.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. That I hadn't thought of that. That's possible.
Very interesting. Yeah, but I know when the Endeavour was sold, it was sold as different packages, wasn't it? You could either have the Endeavour hospital ship, the Endeavour scientific module, or the Endeavour weed farm, essentially. Or there was a package where you could have all 3 of them. And I thought to myself, well, I mean, the Endeavour's going to be such an incredible ship, you know, you might as well spend that money to get all 3 modules, because that way you're going to have the most fun with it. But I don't know. I mean, thinking about it, if you've got an endeavour and you're finding something that you particularly enjoy about it, and as you said, it's only going to have, you're only going to really have the ability to ever put one set of modules on it, really. I don't know. I mean, it could come to the point where the endeavour is more useful for someone who is farming, for example, than anything else. So you might find a lack of other types of endeavour, because someone will go online and be like, oh, the farming module for the endeavour is going to be much more advantageous than the hospital module. So
sure, that gives you a lot of freedom to change your role, but I mean, what's like when you're doing the research version of it, there's like no reason to hook up the landing module. You can't. There's no, because as soon as you take away one of the other modules, you lose the ability to actually be effective at data processing. So like basically every role is broken if you try to make it a hybrid. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's just one of those things that like I think a lot of us were super excited when it came out, because we heard this is modular, meaning that we as players were going to be able to play around and tinker and kit bash a ship that could be a hybrid that did a little of this and a little of that, whereas there's really no effective hybridization of it that I can. But when I looked at it, I mean, I don't mean to be a negative Nancy about it, but
now
it would have been easy if they'd just done a.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you saying that? Okay. Yeah. You take away some parts and you try and mix and match. It's not good at any one thing, because that's the thing. You take anything away from the hospital and you put like grow farms on the back of it or something. It's going to be half a hospital anyways.
Well, no, it'd be less than that, because in order for the hospital ship to work, you have to be able to land to deliver patients. Oh. So, like, if you remove any part of it, you're screwed. And it's the same thing with like the telescoping array and the things that help you data process. I mean, if you capture the data, but you can't do anything else.
You can't use one without the other.
Yeah. So it's like it's basically role locked to those builds.
Yeah.
And I just, it was like I said, like if you took the hospital, it would have been nice if they'd had the primary module slots, hard points, and then you had secondary hard points for the non-role specific modules like fuel, extra crew, maybe extra guns or ammunition storage or something like that. Because then you actually might feel like you and I both have a hospital ship, but yours is fitted for a different kind of, a little bit different than mine is. It would have been nice. It's hey, whatever, first pass. I'm sure they'll touch on it again.
Could be added later.
I mean,
so you're talking now similar to the crew kind of function, that is going to be you want to be able to specialize in certain things which other people don't specialize in generally, as like you would have a chief engineer which specializes in fixing piping, like a plumber or an electrician, that kind of thing.
Possibly. I just mean that there are certain modules, like for instance the extra fuel module or the extra crew module. Can you name any of the other modules that are on the primary role ships that you would remove one of those modules, replace it with that, and it would actually make a positive difference or allow you to expand the role?
Yeah.
I couldn't find any combinations. No. I mean the only build that I saw that actually had extra room for expansion was if you did the 2 grow pods. There were 2 unused hard points, but based on how they fit together, those may be unusable. We don't know, because they still have to fit physically. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Taking a look at the hard points overview, obviously this is completely set to change, but it says that it has 2 size 3 unmanned turrets. Do you agree with that? Do you think size 3 is a big enough size for the Endeavour?
Those are definitely very light, but I mean, if you look at like what the Hull series has, it's a very undefended ship. So I don't know. Like, there's definitely a lot of debate right now too about how effective turrets are going to be. I mean, we don't have NPCs or auto turrets or even pilot seat controlled turrets, remote turrets, or or even man turrets. I mean, man turrets are getting more effective, and that's great. But still, no matter how effective you are, it seems like turrets need to be a serious threat to a ship. You know, any ship that's flying by you is only going to take a very small window of fire from that turret. So, somebody outlined some of the flaws in the design of how turrets were made. You shouldn't design a ship with a torpedo cannon where you drop the photon torpedo down the fuel pipe. That's not how you should. From a design philosophy, you need to just design the ship how it would actually functionally try to defend all of its corners, and then let players kind of figure out its weak points and do that, rather than building weak points into it. But I don't know. I mean, a CIG, they generally make really great choices, and I'm not actually criticizing them. I mean, because we haven't seen the end product yet. But that's also doesn't mean that they're not, infallible. I mean,
right.
Yeah,
and when,
they do have their faults. Yeah.
And when you're saying, well, I was gonna say, when you say that there's those weak points of the ship too, so another aspect of that is when the narrow window of fire mainly. Because when the pilot maneuvers, that's the big thing. In World War II with the B-17 styles, right? The planes weren't changing courses. They weren't making banks or flipping upside down. So the gunners always had that radial attack angle the ship or the enemy plane was always coming at them from. In this, the pilot usually orients the ship to the target a lot of the time. You know what I mean? To engage with the main weapons of the ship, leaving the turret guy left to kind of try and catch up to where he's moved to, and that makes it just such a busy job.
Oh yeah. It'll be interesting. And so like I hesitate to be too critical of those things because it's so early game, but how, I mean, like, look at the Javelin, like it's got a lot of, like, how are its turrets going to be anti-big ship, or, I mean, like, what does it actually have to threat? What is capital versus capital going to look like in order for us to figure out how the roles of fighters should fit into that mixed medium of forces? But
on that subject, actually, about the Javelin being an anti-capital capital ship, looking at the weapons it has, it's not. I mean, it's got two
it
ship.
Seem like
no, it has two ship-to-ship guns, but the rest are all anti-air guns. And so far, we don't actually have any capital ship, which is a designated anti-cap ship.
Right. So how does 13 turrets equate to just having 13 Hornets?
Exactly,
I mean, so they have to make it more effective in some way in order for it to, otherwise, everybody just to fly around single seaters because it's the most, swarm. It's the most effective,
or unless they come out with Sea Whiz for the Javelin.
I will be right back. I need about 30 seconds.
All right, dude. No problem. So the shields, it has 3 size 4s as well, which is a reasonably good size actually for the ship. That should be able to take a reasonably good damage actually, even though it doesn't have that many turrets or that many weapons as of such. It has the ability to be able to defend itself, which I think is the whole point really. You're not going to be wanting to dogfight with this.
Yeah, I think it's probably, like you said, it's going to end up being oh shit, I'm going to stall for as long as possible. I'm going to shoot back at shit and try and keep them at a certain distance whilst they try and take down my shields rather than anything else. So it's not going to be aiming to kill things. It's probably going to end up aiming to buy time so friends can get there or it can jump out.
I don't see this ship being run without a small fleet.
Oh, God, yeah.
You could take it out solo. It would just require that there are no known, activities against, pirate. You're going against the unknown by doing it, but you could do it probably solo. I mean, it's got the ability to go and hide next to the sun, yeah? Where no other ships should be technically able to go. So you could use it environmentally, you could defend yourself probably a little better.
But it's I mean, the stats say it's 200 meters in length and about 1 million kilograms. So the emissions from this ship are going to be pretty big. But yeah, I mean, as you said, it's definitely got to be run through a fleet really, because it only has unmanned turrets. And those are only size 3 by the stats, so you're not going to have the ability to defend yourself as well as if you have a fleet. So definitely fighter escorts, anything really for this ship. It's just not made for fighting. Definitely not.
It's probably be a good ship to have a couple of those new Corvettes
Polaris. Oh god, I can't wait to see that thing. Oh god. Please. I need to see that concept art. I'm getting on it now. I need to see it.
Let my bank account recover.
Yeah.
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 Now, that was one of my big things too. Speaking of similar situations but a different ship, is looking at the Starfarer versus the Starfarer Gemini. The Starfarer Gemini gets boosted on armor. It gets boosted on an extra power plant, extra turret, maybe some bigger guns or whatever. But that amount of change costs it its primary function. Its primary function is carrying fuel. So to lose 33% of your fuel, to, I guess, make you more survivable. But right now, the addition of that extra armor and those extra guns, is that the equivalent of taking the same amount of money that it costs you to upgrade from a Starfarer to a Gemini and just buying an extra ship, and instead of having that extra person on board on a stationary, slow-moving target that's giant, red shoot me, and putting it in a fighter that can scramble around and return fire from different angles. You know what I mean? I feel like you're better served putting that money into another fighter as an escort than embedding it into a little heavier armor and another man turret. So I think those design challenges and making the balance change, basically finding a way to balance it so that as you put more people on a single ship on a multi-crew scenario, making that a force multiplier. Because if it's stronger to have 5 people in 5 single-seater top end single-seater ships, whatever that ship is, versus having 5 people on a single constellation, then no one's ever going to choose to fly in the giant flying coffin. They're going to want to be in an individual ship that gives them more mobility, more freedom to engage or disengage, and more control. Because like you said, if you're in a turret and the pilot is trying to orient for you, but you can only spend 10% of your time actually on target. 1, that won't be fun, and 2, it's not going to be effective. 3, you're going to be in a dead ship soon.
Mobility versus firepower, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully things like Endeavors or Hulls or whatever, even if they only have a little bit of juice to fire back, maybe not them, because they can justifiably be super soft targets that must have an escort. But when you start looking at the Idris and the Javelin, where their armament is anti-fighter, but I would rather have a bunch of Hornets to kill other fighters. There's going to have to be some additional kinds of either gameplay or rebalancing of how those weapons work for them to meet their role.
What you say when you say you'd rather have the Hornets, I think in general, when looking at the Javelin, the anti-air turrets they do have there do look as if they're a reasonable size. So you're probably only going to have to get 1 or 2 hits on any type of ship, small to medium, to just destroy the living hell out of it. So you could balance it again. Yeah, I certainly hope so as well.
Or they're strong enough that they can do something against bigger capitals or bigger freighters or something.
Hell yeah! It's even World War II guns, the secondaries or the AAs, because you used to get these 40mm AAs and stuff, they could be rerouted to secondaries, if a ship got too close. So, you could always have it that way, where the shells that you're firing or the energy weapons are big enough size to do a reasonable amount of damage to a capital ship anyway, or just at least pick away at it. Which I hope, because I hope capital ship battles do last more than a couple of minutes. I want them to be big battles.
You want to have time where your ship is just half destroyed, limping away, and I don't know. An interesting thing too is as the turrets get bigger, you'd imagine that they would fire slower and track slower. So I don't know. Basically the balance issues that they have, it's going to be a mountain of a task.
God, I do not envy them on that case, because not only do they have to balance it to the specs which the ship has, but then they've also got to balance it to the community. And let's be fair, the community is is a bit of a pain in the ass when it comes
to.
Well,
I hope they don't, because at the end of the day, I want Chris Roberts to make his damn game.
Exactly.
I mean, his game may not be exactly my game, but I back him because his game is divergent enough from the mainstream to fit more on the hardcore side of things.
Yeah.
And even if I don't have a lot of time to play in my old age, I still come at the game from a more serious hardcore mentality. And and that is, you see a lot of crying about that because you have the people that come in, like we were talking earlier about that, they just want a PvE experience. And I can respect that they want something. I can respect that experience is fun for them, but that's not the experience that Chris Roberts talked about or sold. So, yeah. I mean, we can try to incorporate it and make sure that there's a lot of elements that appeal to a lot of.
I remember the
players.
whole.
But at the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the whole PvP and PvE slider. I remember when that was being talked about. That was, oh my god. Because there was so much forum debate about it, and there was the whole, should this thing exist? And now that we're not having that anymore, now that there is going to be a 90 to 10 population in terms of NPC to play it, that will kind of balance out the whole PvP versus PvE mentality that we have. So
maybe,
yeah.
Now, one of the things that they really had a hard time with was managing expectations.
Mm.
Whenever they release, okay, as an example, I saw this with the introduction of the Saber, all right? So, or the Vanguard's also another good example.
Yeah,
when they brought those ships out, especially the Vanguard, everybody was like, Hornet Killer.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all they wanted. They were like, this is going to be the fastest, most maneuverable ship ever. It's going to be the Hornet Killer, blah, blah, blah.
Maneuverable, yeah.
Just, does anybody remember the forums on about that?
Yeah, I
can remember it's all people went on about because they just wanted something to kill that Hornet.
Yeah.
They don't buckle down and think, well, let me get a Hornet because that's what that role of that ship. They want something else to replace it.
The Hornet's been nerfed enough as it is. Anyway, they've put size 1 weapons on that thing now. And pretty much every weapon is a size 1 now. It's like, oh
what?
God.
No,
yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
You can fit 3 size.
Oh, you could fit, yes.
1 size 4.
Yeah.
Unless you're a dirty mouser.
All right. Okay.
I mean, when it
Let's
comes...
be honest, I'm shit. Okay.
Oh, you're...
No, I am.
No, I think mouse and relative mode is actually pretty good. It's still super accurate, but it, oh man, flying sticks is so whatever. That's its own debate. I still interactive mouse. I still hate with a passion for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they have to work on the managing them expectations though.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a nightmare. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, well, CIG needs to remain good at communicating with us and taking feedback, but in no way, shape, or form should this game ever be designed by committee.
No.
No.
I mean, usually when somebody puts a poll out, you already know the answer before you even, like when Ben put out the poll of should we go ahead and sell this ship that we said we weren't going to sell? It's like, well, if you ask it, the majority, of course, is going to say yes, you should resell it because they didn't get it.
Yeah.
The answer is already foregone.
Yeah.
And oh well, I mean, and that happens sometimes, but for the most part, they do a good job. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as talking about CIG and communication, I think this is what Board Gamer raised actually the week before last. And that was that CIG do need to work on their communication because one part of the team is saying one thing and then you've got another part of the team saying a completely other thing. So, I mean, that I guess you can't blame them because when they're put in on the spot and people asking, are we going to get this? The golden rule of PR is you never want to say no to anything that people want. So... you're going to say, oh, well, yeah, we're kind of implementing it like this. And then when someone is asking something which is a completely polar opposite question, and they say yes, and it conflicts with the original, people are going, well, wait, now how does that work? So I think that's one thing that they definitely need to work on, is the communication and being able to say no, this isn't happening.
Yeah. Well, I think they've gotten a little bit better about that. But I mean, that is a massive problem. And what can you do? It's a company of 300 plus people, multiple offices around the world. You're gonna see that happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And we also, I mean, and we as the community, as the active community, have to do our best to do damage control. It's even though then you run up into the you're just being a voice. Well, no, we're just trying to correct wrong information.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh well, and we do a pretty good job, I think. Collectively, the community is amazing. This has been an adventure.
I was gonna say, like, out of every game that I've played, the Star Citizen community is one of the best I've ever been part of. So, hats off to all you guys. It's a bloody good community, and there are a few knobheads, of course there are. You're always going to get a few knobheads, but I tell you,
hats off, fella, hats off.
No, this hair is not coming out.
But no, I mean, this is a bloody good community, and I think I have to plug him, Bruce Chandler. Well done, because you made me feel welcome in the Star Citizen community. So if you're watching, dude, thank you.
And keep on collecting them all.
Good old, yeah. Bless him. Bruce Chandler, he's the
Pokemon of the Star Citizen Facebook world.
Oh God.
He collects all of the friends. Yeah.
Oh God.
Bless him.
Yeah.
He's great. Anyway, let's get on to the last part of the show, which is engine cooldown, and this is basically the part of this the show where we discuss what we'd like to see happen with the Star Citizen over the next week.
3 more patches.
No, don't do it.
I would like to see the Idris, of course, but
We said that last week, didn't we?
If it's just the live stream. I want a live stream.
I think if you read Andrew's Q&A that they did this week with the devs, I don't think we're going to see the Idris until Squadron 42.
No. I kind of knew this.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
They're testing it. Just leave them to it. Wait until Squadron 42 comes out. I just really don't think we're going to see it. We might see pictures or a little running video of it, but that's going to be about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I was down in Austin this last Friday, they were talking about like going back to the office after the party to watch the video that they just released internally of the Idris at Port Olisar, like launching fighters.
Oh, they are such dicks, aren't they?
I was like, you teases. And I gotta admit, I am a little disappointed that as an Idris owner, for the amount that we put in to back that ship. I understand not spoiling Squadron 42, but give it a little I want it hangar. Like, there's a difference between seeing a fully manned ship in the context of the story with all your fighters loaded and fly in space. That is an experience, but me being able to actually get on my ship in the hangar, or not in the hangar, because I think they'd have to do an alternative to that, but like, I'm like, I guess, I mean, I wonder if that's just because it would take a bunch of work to produce some kind of semi-hangar like game mechanic for us to get to, and so rather than spend that development time, they're just going to hold out and wait. That might just be what the plan is, but it still makes me a little sad in the heart, because they have always said that they would not hold back assets, for a reveal or a release, that if you owned it, you would get it as soon as it was ready. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
I want my Idris.
It's all part of the game, though.
It's testing.
They've got to play the game. You can't just release everything as it comes, because it doesn't build up the tension. You gotta hold everything. I mean,
storyline tension is fine, but
let's say they release it in a couple of months. When Squadron 42 comes out, it'll be
You think it'll come out in a couple of months?
Well, I think the reason they're definitely not showing anything to do with the Idris anymore is because, one, we've had the Morrow tour, so we've kind of had our Idris teaser, and two, as Hooch said, if we're going into Squadron 42 like, oh, it's an Idris. Yeah, I've been around this hundreds of times. It's not going to have the effect, is it? Of being like, oh my god, I'm inside a fucking Idris, you know?
That's the perk of, you know, a $1,250, you know, spent that real hard. I could buy a junker car for that.
Yeah.
And,
But
you know,
what happens,
waiting multiple years.
Yeah. But what happens is they release that. Within an hour, you're going to have YouTube flooded with videos of a tour.
Sure. But I mean, there's a big difference between walking through an empty constellation and getting on that constellation the first time when all the systems are go, and you've got, you know, a full crew, and you're actually flying out to a destination because you've got exploration to do and all your systems are online, and there's actual story elements and interaction. I mean, I get it. You would learn the layout of the ship, but, you know, at the same time, like during the storyline part of the ship, like they've said that like when you interact with NPCs, if you ignore them or turn away from them, like there's going to be time dependence. Like, man, I want to walk through my ship nice and slow. I don't even want any NPCs. I don't want any interruption between me and the sweet, sweet love. I want to make my ship.
Yeah, most definitely, man.
No one's going to want to go in that ship because the carpet's going to be crunching after 5 minutes.
Now, you know, but it is what it is. Like, I can accept it. It was just, you know, one of those disappointments. I was like, oh.
Well, you know, it's not really disappointment. It's just having patience.
Yeah.
Patience?
I got patience.
What I was gonna say is,
didn't patience shoot you?
Yeah.
But based on the last Around the Verse video that we were watching, that was the one thing that really stuck out to me was when they got to the Foundry 42 and the Germany. When they were both in the same place, they said, oh yeah, we're going to do a twofer today. All they talked about was interfacing. They didn't talk about anything else. Like, it was all about how our studio and their studio are on the same time zone, and it's really nice that we can not be in the same place, and our groups are working together, and they're getting this other stuff done, and da-da-da, and then we're touching a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but they didn't really say anything about developmental-wise where they were with it. So to me, that kind of says we have a ton of information that we really can't talk. Yeah, we can't talk to anybody about. Therefore, we're going to just fill airtime with something else. And to me, that says, okay, well, if we have that much information that we really can't talk about it yet, maybe it might be think about time for a live stream event. You know what I mean?
If you want some crazy hype, so.
Oh God! Prepare your anuses, everyone. Okay. Here we go.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Do you guys remember when I talked about the tour that we did at CIG in Austin?
Oh God.
And I wouldn't spill the beans, but when it turned out it was the planetary procedural generation tech, and you know, so that changes so much about the future of this game as far as capability. What you know, it's huge, right? It's huge secondary and tertiary, you know, impacts. I was talking to some of the CIG guys, and they were like, well, there is some stuff on the horizon that's going to make that look like nothing. And I'm like, what?
Fucking shit.
And they wouldn't. And so now the punishment has been revisited upon me because they didn't tell me. I didn't get no sneak peek. I got no sneak peek.
Oh, what?
So,
bastard.
It's just such cock tease. Such cock tease. It's not even funny.
And this was in light of them talking about going back and seeing the Idris. They're like, yeah, we can tell you that. That's fine. But this other thing.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
He's like, I'm drunk, but I'm not that drunk.
Now you've told us. I hurt now.
Hype. The hype train is so real.
The hype train. You know, it's got no brakes. And
it is going fucking downhill.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you look at it, if you have kind of looking at the corporate environment and they're producing a product and stuff like that, you figure what we see is not where they're at.
No, God, no.
Not legitimately where they're at. Yeah, they're working on that stuff, they say. But that's not where they're at. They've got stuff that they're working on that's a little bit further along than what they're letting on.
Right, and that's something that I'm kind of curious about too. Is I want to see, like, one of the big things I think flight-wise that I would like to see is the ships reacting to gravity a little bit better, or a little bit more. So when you come into those landing pads, I mean, it's a little kind of a thing, I guess, but it'll be
It's
something that
not
we'll
little.
see in. Well, but it'll be something that we'll see in for the procedural part when you're coming into planets too.
Because
Will be the thrusters actually, retrofitting or retroing down to keep you from wanting to collide with the ground, kind of a thing.
Well,
and
remember-
feeling that weight.
remember that the game uses real-life Newtonian physics. So they are actually coding in real-life Newtonian physics and real-life speed, mass, energy, all of this kind of stuff, weight. So when you're talking about implementing gravity and ships being affected by gravity, that is going to take a long fucking time. Because you then not only are you incorporating all of the normal physics that they have at the moment, which is complex as shit, you're then also adding gravity, which is a completely different ball game. So
They'll cheat.
They when
they'll
they
make
showed
it
us the release, when they showed us the sneak peek of the procedural generation stuff, right? For the planetary, that was one of our questions. Like, hey, what are you guys going to do about atmospheric modeling and gravity? And they're like, well, the gravity will actually be pretty easy. We're going to be able to create drag and planetary pull
right.
for the ships, but actual like aerodynamic maneuvers and those kinds of things, much less being interacting with the different shapes of our ships, and they're less than atmospheric aerodynamic form or semi-atmospherically dynamic forms, that will probably not happen. It'll probably just get sort of pushed to the side. So you're not going to get a really great atmospheric space or atmospheric sim experience. I don't think.
I mean,
maybe that'll be post-launch, but
an Aurora is actually as aerodynamic as a lawn dart.
A brick. I would call it a brick. Because we tried it out. Remember, we tried it out in Vanderval, and it was a brick going around a corner.
No, it really was. It really, really is. Like, I'd prefer to race a in Warden, like a Vanguard, rather than a goddamn Aurora. Though, in fairness, the Aurora is actually faster in a straight line.
Awesome.
What do you think about like FPS wise? Like, I that's a realm that is really not seen too much, I guess, beyond Port Olisar. But like, what do you see as forthcoming in with the procedural generation stuff?
I think procedural. You mean like planet side? I don't know. Like, I mean, I know. I think the next great Star Marine, is it a starship, I guess?
Yeah, Star Marine.
when they get to doing that, like, one of the credentials that they wanted to have for the entrance was for them to work on the Class 9 armor, which is basically I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure everybody wants to see vehicles, mechs, and planet side kind of stuff, as well as spaceship bombardment or whatever. But that's pretty long range, so I don't know, man. Like, it could be anything. I mean, there are other games out there that already do that, but that doesn't mean that we wouldn't try to include it in our universe, and I hope we do. I hope that, like, if you're a sucky pilot and that's not your thing, you could pretty much play the whole game on a planet, adventuring and doing missions, and being a part of battle zones, and then FPSing on ships and stations. I really hope that there is that kind of opportunity to play the game from I want to exist in this universe. This is my second life experience in a digital realm, and you're not just going to be funneled into just being a pilot just because that was the premise initially.
One day I hope I get to the point where I can retire and just run a shop in the game. That would be so fucking cool.
When I get old, you're gonna hook me up plug me into the internet, plug me into a colostomy bag, call it done.
See, there was this thing that I'd said a long time ago, and it said probably by the time that Star Citizen gets to the point where it's going to be finally open and released, and here you go, guys, here's the game. Our characters, if they do the aging stuff, would be so old by that time from the years of waiting. They will be the old guys in the bar that'll be like, all right, we got a mission. We got to go over to the Yella. Go talk to the guy over there. Go talk to the old man over there who can barely walk.
Yeah.
Be like, Yella? I remember Yella.
I remember Yella when it was just
Start getting Yella flashbacks.
Scramble to your fighters, and you see 3 guys come out there on walker frames.
PTYD.
Yeah.
Post-traumatic yellow syndrome.
Yeah. That's great. That
quite
would be
good, actually.
that
Fair
would be
enough. That's quite
hilarious. Okay, so thank you very much for tuning in today, everyone. It's been an amazing stream, actually. It's gone on for quite a while, which is awesome. Thank you very much to Mr. Traz for taking time out of his day to come chat with us idiots. Yes, well done, Hooch. I am Traz, seeing as you are the guest this week. You get to choose the ship of the week next week, and next week's ship is a military ship, and we've covered the Vanguard, the what else have we covered? Help me out here. What have we covered, Hooch?
Redeemer.
The Redeemer.
Cutlass.
Cutlass.
M50. Isn't it? Was that
yeah,
one?
no.
Yeah.
Yes, we've done the M50. So pretty much any other ship apart from that?
Caterpillar.
Caterpillar? Alright.
Yep, it's up and coming. It's getting design love now. There's actually been some early, designer white boxing, work on it that we can videos and you can look through. So it's so many theories you can talk about. It's also one of the least loved ships. So it's one of my favorites because Star Hipster.
Star Hipster Traz, nice.
I like
if that sticks, I'm killing all of you.
Trademark
for life. How do you do that? Drake for life.
Okay, so
yeah, no, it'll be a good ship.
yeah. So next.
Oh,
week...
but that's not a. But does that count? That's not a military ship. Shit. Oh.
It could be.
You just fallen right on your face there, haven't you?
No, I was gonna say maybe the Carrack, but everybody wants. They just have no information on the Carrack because it's so pushed so far back down the pipeline.
Looks a bit like Serenity.
It'll function, I think, fairly like that. All right,
But there's no influence there whatsoever.
How about the Crucible? It's Anvil. Military repair, right? That's got to be a part of every fleet.
Yeah, that's definitely military. All right.
And they actually did a whole bunch of. They did almost as much video background on how it's going to get laid out and designed and all that. And there's some articles of the jump point. So good information. Still a lot of room for theory.
That's going to be an awesome ship. That is the Crucible. That's going to be so good.
That ship is going to be clutch. That ship's not. It could look like a trash can with an engine on it, and it's so important, I think, to just general fleet operations. Yeah,
you're gonna need some of them.
Gonna leave
and
the dock.
Also, pocket carrier.
It's a pocket carrier. Yeah. Best ship in game.
It's like a wallet-sized pocket carrier because it carries just one ship.
That's all you need.
It's your insurance policy.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very
Gentlemen,
much.
it's good.
Sorry. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. It's been an amazing podcast. We will see you next week at 2100 GMT and 1500 Central. Is that correct?
Sure is.
Yep.
I can do maths.
Military time too.
Wait a minute. No, actually, that's wrong. Because your clocks don't move forward. Our clocks move forward.
So that'll be 1600 Central.
Oh, okay. So 4 p.m. Central U.S. time for all of y'all that don't do the, 24-hour clock.
Yes, and it will still be 9 p.m. here in the UK. So
nice.
Awesome.
Yes.
I will.
So if you're in the U.S. and you're in an area that does daylight saving times, don't forget to roll forward your clock tonight.
Is it tonight? Is it?
Yep.
Ooh.
Or tomorrow morning, technically. It's like 1 or 2 when you're supposed to do it.
Is that when you lose an hour of sleep or when you gain it?
Yeah.
Spring forward, fall back.
Okay.
So
Well,
we
I can
lose
just see
an hour.
who's just fucked everyone over now, because it's like in 3 weeks' time and everyone's going to be getting up for work late tomorrow.
Not sure. I'm not sure. I think it's a couple weeks and then yours moves forward.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
British summertime.
Oh, we've finally got summer again.
Oh,
No,
Kurt,
no, it's
stop.
just
No,
summer in name.
Yeah,
It's just
we'll
spring.
still have fucking
bright
rain.
raindrops instead of fucking...
Yeah, it
dark
would be slightly
drops. It's
less
just
rainy and slightly less grey. Alright guys, see you next Tuesday. Tuesday, Jesus Christ. See you next Saturday at 2100 GMT, 1600 Central. See you then everybody. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Adios.